Chapter 1098. When the blinding golden sword light dissipated, the three nascent soul cultivators were completely annihilated, leaving only a few defensive magic treasures and storage bracelets in the air. Huang Xiaoyun let out a breath of turbid air and his hands were still trembling. Not only did the fist-heart sword require time to accumulate power, but it also placed a considerable amount of pressure on the bones of his hand. After accumulating power for so long, the bones of his hand had suffered some damage. With a wave of his hand, Huang Xiaoyun put away the magic treasures and storage bracelets. He then turned to old man Jing and cupped his hands in salute. "Thank you for your assistance, fellow Taoist Jing. Otherwise, it would have been troublesome to deal with these people." Old man Jing hurriedly shook his head and said, "Fellow Taoist Huang is too polite. Even if I wasn't here, you would have easily dealt with the battle with your abilities." This old man was a nascent soul cultivator from the Ghost Spirit sect. He had returned to the Yin Sifting sect with Song Yuan in order to assist the Sacred Poison sect. The ambush of the 4 sects and 3 clans had been directly exposed by them. When Huang Xiaoyun found out about this, he decided to beat them at their own game. He had Pan Yen protect Duan in the open while he hid in the shadows. With old man Zheng as a spy, they were able to eliminate the enemy. Old man Zheng hesitated for a moment before saying, "Fellow Taoist Huang, are we going to the Sacred Poison sect? Even with Senior Marshal Brother Song's assistance, there are still 7 other nascent soul cultivators." Huang Xiaoyun chuckled and said, "Fellow Taoist Jing, don't worry. The Sacred Poison sect has already made their preparations. They also have 2 nascent soul elders overseeing them. Nothing will go wrong." When old man Jing heard this, his expression relaxed. After this battle, he had gained a direct understanding of the body refining pavilion's nascent soul cultivators. Between Huang Xiaoyun and Pan Yen, one had terrifying offensive power, while the other had monstrous defensive power. If one were to compare their divine sense to early nascent soul physique cultivators, both of them were existences capable of fighting above their level. There was no need to even mention Pavilion Master Lu. The power of his divine sense was at the late nascent soul stage, but the power of his meteorite-like divine ability was comparable to that of a deity transformation cultivator. At that moment, a white jade talisman appeared in Huang Xiaoyun's hand. He swept his spiritual sense through it and smiled. "Fellow Taoist Jing, Junior Marshal Brother Pan and Duan have already escaped. The core cultivators of the 4 sects and 3 clans have also been dealt with. While the other party's nascent soul cultivator is not around, we should wipe out the encampments of the 4 sects and 3 clans and enter the demonic Dragon Mountain. As long as we take down demonic Dragon Mountain in one go, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance won't be able to react in time. Fellow Taoist." The 2 of them then turned into 2 streaks of light and flew towards the flat top mountain. In the far west of the heavens, the Poison sect. The 10,000 poisons formation of the Sacred Poison sect was already in tatters. 2 huge black warships floated in the gray poisonous miasma. Many disciples of the 5 sects and 3 clans were circling the valley, trying to find the Sacred Poison sect's disciples. The 8 nascent soul cultivators were all gathered in the center of the valley, standing outside a restriction. Several of them were holding low-level Sacred Poison sect cultivators and were using soul-searching technique. Ling Fian waved her hand and the low-level cultivator in her hand was burned to ashes by a ball of demonic flames. She nodded and said, "That's what I found. The Sacred Poison sect's core is below this restriction. Aside from the Immortal's Cave residence, the teleportation formation is also in the square below. The Sacred Poison sect's reaction is really fast. The 10,000 poisons formation has bought us a quarter of an hour. Most of the disciples have already hidden inside." An old man said, "Then what are we waiting for? How can this restriction stop us?" As soon as he said that, he summoned a bronze hammer magic treasure. The others also used their abilities. Countless spiritual lights flashed and rumbling sounds echoed throughout the valley. After 10 breaths, the powerful restriction was completely destroyed, revealing a slanted passage. Pure demonic chi surged out from it. Several tyrannical divine senses probed inside. This place interferes with spiritual senses. The material of the passage is a little strange. The last section seems to be made of dragon-breaking stone. Behind the dragon-breaking stone is the exit. It seems to be a square. Ling Fian looked worried and said, "This narrow place is most suitable for body cultivators to fight." "If there are body cultivators hiding behind the passage," Song Yuan frowned and said, "the bottom of the passage is made of dragon-breaking stone. Although it interferes with spiritual senses, it can't be used to set up a formation. The only dangerous place is the exit." He narrowed his eyes and said, "It's only been 15 minutes since we invaded. I'm afraid the teleportation formation hasn't been activated yet. But if we delay any longer, we can't be sure." Song Yuan looked around at everyone, especially the nascent soul cultivators of the 3 great clans. He said, "My defensive abilities are not weak. If you're afraid, I'll take the lead. However, I want to pick 3 treasures first." "I have no objections. Dao Song, you should take the risk." "No problem." These nascent soul cultivators were not short-sighted. They knew that they were in a race against time. If they delayed for too long, they might have to face an endless stream of cultivators from the body refining pavilion. Since Song Yuan was willing to take the lead, they naturally had no objections. Therefore, Song Yuan cast a few defensive mystic arts on himself and summoned 2 defensive magic treasures. He took the lead and flew into the passage. The others followed closely behind. After a few hundred feet, they arrived at the area of dragon-breaking stone. At this time, their spiritual senses could already detect the scene behind the exit. It was a vast underground square. A formation flashing with spiritual light was in the center. A few cultivators surrounded the formation, testing it anxiously. "Teleportation formation. They're already testing it." Song Yuan checked it briefly and flew out. The exit of the passage seemed to be very safe. However, when he arrived in front of the teleportation formation, rays of spiritual light rushed out. "Oh no, it's the spirit trapping formation. Everyone, quickly break the formation." They're about to finish testing it, then, Song Yuan's figure was covered by the formation. The faces of the nascent soul stage cultivators who were still in the tunnel changed as they hurriedly flew out of the tunnel. The 4 cultivators from the 3 clans looked at each other with serious expressions on their faces. It was as if they wanted those people to take the lead and slowed down. However, at this time, the dragon-breaking stone walls around the passage suddenly surged with a terrifying pressure. It came from all directions. "Oh no! There's a formation!" The 4 nascent soul cultivators were shocked and angry. Their defensive spiritual light instantly merged together. A faint black circular demonic shield was pressed in midair by this force. Rumble, almost at the same time as this pressure appeared, 2 huge gray stone doors suddenly fell from the 2 ends of the broken dragon stone passage, turning this area into a sealed room. From the 2 stone doors there was also a huge invisible force gushing out. The Zhua clan leader's face was gloomy. "What kind of formation is this? How could it be set in the dragon-breaking stone?" Fortunately, the 4 of us attacked and retreated together. Otherwise, none of us would be able to withstand this pressure. The other 3 cultivators were also sweating profusely. If they hadn't cooperated beforehand and reacted quickly, they would have been crushed by this terrifying force. As they activated the defensive shield together, they could clearly feel that this pressure not only had the attack power of a mid-nascent soul cultivator, but it also seemed to be endless. A spiritual light flashed in front of a black-haired elder. A longsword magic treasure shot forward. However, just as it rushed out of the shield, its speed slowed down. It crawled slowly like a tortoise. "What do we do? Under this pressure, even our magic treasures can't move." If this force continues to press, our demonic power will be exhausted sooner or later. There's no movement from the dragon-breaking stone door. Are the people from the 4 major sects just going to ignore us? The Zhua clan leader's face turned ugly. Those people will definitely prioritize destroying the teleportation portal. We can only rely on ourselves. He used his divine sense to sense and said, "This invisible force is pressing in from all directions. If we destroy the dragon-breaking stone door in front of us, we will be pushed out of the passage under the pressure of the other forces. The power of one person's magic treasure is not enough. Only by combining our demonic power can we resist the pressure of a mid-nascent soul cultivator. Then, we can use the impact of our magic treasures to destroy the dragon-breaking stone. My square heaven seal is made of millennium dark iron. It's very hard. This magic treasure is the main material." "Alright." The Zhua clan leader waved his hand and a dark blue square seal appeared in front of him. The other people's demonic power condensed into this magic treasure. In an instant, the light of the magic treasure shone brightly and rushed out of the defensive shield. Its speed was affected to a certain extent, but it was much better than before. At least, it was not much different from an ordinary magic treasure. In the blink of an eye, it crashed into the dragon-breaking stone door in front of them. Boom! The magic treasure's spiritual light was mostly dissipated by the dragon-breaking stone. However, the impact was very strong. With one hit, a fist-sized hole was created. The 4 of them perked up, but before they could continue to cast their spells, a ball of blood-red liquid suddenly gushed out from behind the broken pieces of the dragon-breaking stone. A layer of the gray stone walls on the other walls automatically fell off, and 3 different colored liquids gushed out from them. Under the pressure of the invisible force field, these liquids instantly turned into clouds of colorful mist and pressed against the shields of the few people. Holy poison! The faces of the nascent soul cultivators of the 3 major clans changed drastically, revealing a look of horror. For types of terrifying poisons that were comparable to the power of a nascent soul cultivator, under the pressure of the invisible force field, stuck to their shields and made a series of corrosive sounds. The spiritual light on the shields dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 1099. Song Yuan, you're a traitor! The Shade-Sifting sect has been colluding with the Sacred Venom sect for a long time. In the underground plaza of Ashmarsh Valley, the mid-nascent soul stage demonic cultivator, Song Yuan, had broken free from the restriction at some point in time. The formation that trapped him flickered with spiritual light as a giant Dahe figure struggled madly inside. The remaining 3 nascent soul stage cultivators stood outside the sealed passageway, their faces filled with shock and anger. The spirit-binding formation hadn't trapped Song Yuan at all. Instead, it was under Song Yuan's control. If not for the demonic cultivators of 100 Barbarian Mountain summoning Grade 8 demonic beasts to help them resist the restriction, they would have been trapped inside instead. The sealed passage behind them was clearly a trap set up by the Sacred Venom sect to separate them. Quickly destroy the Dragonbreak Stone Gate and save our fellow Taoists. Alright. I'll keep an eye on Song Yuan. The 3 reacted quickly. The middle-aged man from 100 Barbarian Mountain confronted Song Yuan while Ling Fian and the other demonic cultivator activated their treasures and blasted them at the Dragonbreak Stone Gate. Roar. At this moment, with a deafening roar, a boulder by the side of the tunnel suddenly shattered. A muscular, 8-foot-tall yellow bear man charged out of the boulder. Its thick paws were covered in a layer of blue spiritual light and slapped away the 2 treasures aimed at the stone gate. A Grade 8 demon beast. At the same time, a man and a woman appeared beside Song Yuan. They were clearly nascent soul cultivators from their vigorous magic power. Several treasures transformed into streaks of light and blasted towards the demonic cultivators of the 3 sections. Not good, there's an ambush! Damn it, for a moment, the underground square was filled with surging spiritual pressure, and rumbling sounds rose and fell one after another. On the other side of the battlefield, a black warship about 30 meters long was hidden in the clouds 50 kilometers away from Demon Dragon Mountain. At the front of the deck of the battleship, there were several demonic cultivators with profound auras. They were all nascent soul cultivators. One of them was a middle-aged man with green hair, who was even at the mid-nascent soul stage. He was the city lord of Monolith City, and the head of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, Ba Fengyan. At this moment, City Lord Ba had an uneasy expression on his face. The other nascent soul stage cultivators of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance also had fearful expressions on their faces as cold sweat dripped down their forehead. In front of them stood a middle-aged man with a sturdy figure, dressed in a gray robe. It was Lu Kuan who had rushed over from Chu State. Previously, he had been lying in ambush outside Dao One Gate. Not long after, he had discovered several nascent soul cultivators from the Xian sect. To be on the safe side, Lu Kuan had launched a sneak attack. Not only had he killed the other party, but he had also captured the nascent soul cultivators alive. Although he couldn't find out the secrets of the Xian sect, he did find out a lot of information about the Saint Devil sect. Combined with the information he had obtained from Peng Yuanhua's soul, Lu Kuan deduced that the reason why the Saint Devil sect had taken over the Seven Evils sect was because a treasure was about to mature. And this treasure was extremely helpful for demonic cultivators to break through to the spirit-severing stage. The Saint Devil sect's Grand Elder was refining this treasure in the Seven Evils sect, attempting to break through to the spirit-severing stage. Since Lu Kuan had decided to strike first and eliminate the threat of the Saint Devil sect and the Xian sect, he naturally wouldn't let this Grand Elder of the Saint Devil sect go. Thus, he had come from Zhongyun State to the West State of the Qi State. Coincidentally, he had discovered that the battle at the demonic Dragon Mountain had already begun. While he was observing the battle, he had accidentally discovered the Rogue Cultivators Alliance lurking in the dark. Lu Kuan observed the movements at the demonic Dragon Mountain and said calmly, "City Lord Ba, according to what you said, the Rogue Cultivators Alliance is only here to watch the battle?" Ba Fengyan swallowed his saliva and braced himself to say, "Other than watching the battle, Elder Qian had also specially instructed us to help the Sacred Poison sect at critical moments." Lu Kuan turned his head and glanced at the crowd. He didn't say anything and continued to look into the distance. These nascent soul stage old monsters felt even more uneasy, but they didn't dare to make any move. Their battleship had been perfectly hidden in the clouds when someone suddenly broke through their restrictive spells. Shocked and enraged, they unleashed their magical treasures to attack. However, when their magical treasures landed on the enemy's fleshly body, they weren't able to cause any damage. Moreover, he had only released a strange force field ability, and it had almost crushed their protective spiritual light. With all kinds of strange abilities and the opponent's face, Ba Fengyan immediately realized that this person was the owner of the body refining pavilion that Qian Jingshan had asked him to pay attention to. He hurriedly stopped everyone's attacks. Ba Fengyan's heart was in a mess. The pressure that this Master Lu gave him was even more terrifying than that of old Demon Pang. It was as if he could destroy them with a raise of his hand. Moreover, this Master Lu's body was as hard as a magical treasure. With their abilities, they probably wouldn't be able to hurt him at all. Fortunately, the body refining pavilion and the blood refining sect had an agreement of alliance. Master Lu didn't seem to have any intention of being heavy-handed. None of the nascent soul stage cultivators of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance dared to speak. They just stood there quietly with Lu Kuan. After half a day, the fluctuations of the battle in the distance calmed down. Lu Kuan slowly said, "The battle of the demonic Dragon Mountain has ended. Since you were sent by fellow Daoist Qian, you should return and report. Then let's return to the blood refining sect together. Lu has some matters to discuss with fellow Daoist Qian." Hearing this, Ba Fengyan quickly nodded and said, It's our honor to have Master Lu with us. Then, he used his divine sense to instruct the core formation stage disciples at the back to control the battleship. The battleship, refined from the miraculous gate, turned around and flew towards the Blood Demon mountain range. Lu Kuan sensed the speed of the battleship and said to Bafengyan, "Lu has been in seclusion for a while. Has anything major happened in the cultivation world of the state of Qi in the past few years?" Bafengyan hesitated for a moment and then began to talk about the changes in the state of Qi in the past few years. Lu Kuan listened quietly. When he mentioned the Yinyang sect, he was shocked. "You're saying that Su Junwen has taken control of the Yinyang sect?" Bafengyan nodded and said, "Ever since the previous Yinyang sect master failed to break through to the soul formation stage, Su Junwen's strength increased by leaps and bounds. Not only did he enter the midstage of the nascent soul stage, but he also seems to have cultivated a powerful ability with 2 nascent souls. His abilities are comparable to that of a grand cultivator's, and he took control of the sect." Lu Kuan touched his chin and couldn't help but think about many years ago when he disguised himself as Zhang Tianbiao and cooperated with Su Junwen. At that time, the 7 Evils sect's Hun Sha extracted the souls of the nascent souls, while Su Junwen used a strange dual cultivation method to absorb the power of the nascent souls and the essence of the physical body. It seemed that he was cultivating some kind of powerful ability. He continued, "It seems that after the war in the state of Qi, the Yinyang sect went through another internal conflict and their strength was greatly weakened. Does the blood refining sect not have any thoughts about this?" Bafengyan said awkwardly, "Master Lu, in the war 100 years ago, the blood refining sect suffered the most losses. Most of their nascent soul elders died. Even the Rogue Cultivator Alliance only has a few old guys left. We don't have the strength to fight with the Yinyang sect. Moreover, the 7 Evils sect still exists. If the 2 sects fight, wouldn't it be convenient for a third party?" Lu Kuan asked, "Are there any changes in the 7 Evils sect?" Bafengyan hesitated and said, "The 7 Evils disciples and old devil Yuan Sha have been in seclusion. They seem to be trying to break through the bottleneck of the soul formation stage. However, there are some new faces in the 7 Evils sect. It seems that there are many disciples." Lu Kuan listened to him and his eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 1100. On this day, 5 or 6 cultivators were sitting in a pavilion in the depths of a certain market in the West Prefecture of the Qi nation. "Old you, why did you call us here? Is there a conclusion to the battle at Demonic Dragon Mountain? It can't be so fast. The 3 major forces seem to have just reached a stalemate." Everyone was looking at a plump old man. He put down his teacup and said with a complicated expression, "Demonic Dragon Mountain has been monopolized by the Sacred Poison sect. They have also killed all the nascent soul cultivators of the other forces. The 4 sects and 3 clans only exist in name now." Everyone's expression changed drastically. They seemed to be shocked by this news. The 4 sects and 3 clans have at least 10 nascent soul cultivators. Even in the war many years ago in the Qi nation, there were not so many who died. The Sacred Poison sect actually has such terrifying strength? Isn't the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance a force of the blood refining sect? Aren't they going to interfere? Taoist you, the news must be fake. The plump old man said slowly, "This news came from the Sacred Poison sect. It will spread throughout the Qi nation soon. The 4 sects and 3 clans have not made any move. This news cannot be fake. I'm not sure how the Sacred Poison sect destroyed the 4 sects and 3 clans, but I know that this demon sect is actually a subordinate sect of the Wei Nation's Body Refining Pavilion. If the cultivators of the Body Refining Pavilion are involved, it makes sense." Another thin middle-aged man was puzzled. "What is the background of this Body Refining Pavilion? I've been in seclusion and only learned of this sect after coming out." The plump old man said, "I have a good relationship with City Lord Ba. I heard a lot of news about the Body Refining Pavilion. It is said that this is a hidden sect. They cultivate a body-refining immortal cultivation technique that has never appeared in the immortal cultivation world. After they appeared, they dominated the Wei Nation's immortal cultivation world with their powerful strength. The owner of the body-refining pavilion is also in the great cultivator realm. Due to the uniqueness of his body-refining technique, his combat strength is amazing. The blood-refining sect is not willing to provoke him and even formed a non-attack agreement with him. A hidden sect that cultivates body-refining immortal cultivation? Specialized in cultivating the physical body? A young woman in red suddenly thought of something and said with a frown, I heard from my disciples that they encountered some strange cultivators who fought with magic weapons. Their combat power was amazing. Could they be the disciples of the body-refining pavilion? The chubby old man nodded and said, That's right. It's said that the low-level disciples of the body-refining pavilion don't use the artifact manipulation technique to activate their artifacts. Instead, they fight with their artifacts in hand. Not only can they fully unleash the power of their artifacts, but they can also increase their physical strength. Their combat power is generally higher than cultivators of the same level. Although I've never seen a high-level body cultivator before, I can infer that a nascent soul stage body cultivator is probably equivalent to a metamorphosis stage Yao cultivator with a magic treasure. Against an opponent of the same level, I don't have the confidence to win. The thin middle-aged man pondered and said, If the news is true, it means that the body-refining pavilion's strength is unfathomable. Once they stabilize their foothold in demonic Dragon Mountain, they might continue to expand. The others also looked worried. The body-refining pavilion has taken over the Devil Pool. Could it be that they want to develop a fourth devil sect in the state of Qi? If a powerful devil sect also appears in the West Prefecture, where will we small sects and clans go? The chubby old man sighed and said, This is why I've invited you all here. The Sacred Poison Sect, or rather, the Body-Refining Pavilion, has already stabilized in the West Prefecture. We need to discuss how to get along with them. There are only 3 options. We can either express our goodwill and become their subordinate sect, or we can ignore them for the time being and face them together. If there's no other option, we can only leave the West Prefecture. Everyone fell silent for a moment. If they were willing to become subordinate to other sects, they would have already done so. As for facing off against the Sacred Poison Sect, that was even more ridiculous. The 4 sects and 3 clans had already failed, so what were they? Were they supposed to leave the West Prefecture? Perhaps there's another option, the red-clothed woman suddenly said. What? Her eyes flickered as she said, The 3 great devil sects of the state of Qi definitely don't want a 4th force to appear in the state of Qi. We can try to contact them. If the 3 great devil sects join forces, the body-refining pavilion won't be a match for them, no matter how powerful they are. The chubby old man frowned and said, Not to mention that the blood-refining pavilion has an alliance with them. Even if they let the Rogue Cultivator Alliance take action, you're afraid that you're inviting the wolf into the house. If the 3 great devil sects divide the West Prefecture, we won't have any place to live. I think we should express our goodwill first. It's not that easy for a major devil sect to appear. If we express our goodwill, we can at least live in peace for hundreds of years. That's not right. Next, the remaining small sects and clans in the West Prefecture began to discuss. State of Qi's South Prefecture, Blood Devil Mountain Range. The meeting hall of the Blood Refining Pavilion was located on a steep mountain peak. In the spacious room sat 3 cultivators. The red-haired old man sitting at the head of the table was the Grand Elder of the Blood Refining Pavilion, Qian Jingshan. Beside him was a young woman with some baby fat. Her aura was incomparably vigorous, indicating that she had reached the late nascent soul realm. The middle-aged man sitting in the guest seat was Lu Kuan, who had come to visit the blood-refining pavilion. He looked at the young woman with a surprised expression and said, I didn't expect Fairy Lu to have entered the realm of Grand Cultivator. Could it be that fellow Taoist Situ has also broken through? Lu Yanjun and Situ Hao were famous dual cultivation Tao companions. This couple had been a powerful force of the blood refining pavilion for many years. Both of them cultivated the blood demon art. When the two of them worked together, their strength was no less than that of a grand cultivator. Lu Yanjun's face turned gloomy and said, It's not that easy to break through the blood demon art. Although Big Brother Situ had made thorough preparations, he still failed at the last step. I was only lucky enough to break through with the help of the Grand Elder. Lu Kuan said with some regret, What a pity. If fellow Taoist Situ had also broken through, the combined might of the two of you wouldn't be inferior to fellow Taoist Pang in the past. At this time, Qian Jingshan smiled and said, Master Lu's visit this time shouldn't be just for small talk. I don't know what's so important that the pavilion master has to come personally. Lu Kuan heard this and said with a serious expression, Lu's visit this time is to join hands with your sect to destroy the Seven Fiends sect. Qian Jingshan and Lu Yanjun heard this and their expressions changed. Lu Kuan continued, Did the two of you know that the Seven Fiends sect is actually a chess piece of the great Zhou dynasty's Saint Devil sect? Not long ago, it was completely controlled by the Saint Devil sect. Saint Devil sect? Master Lu, is this true? Qian Jingshan's expression was shocked, as if this was the first time he had heard this news. Lu Kuan nodded and said with a cold tone, Lu didn't know at first, but who knew that the Saint Devil sect's third elder Xue Tianyu would sneak attack Lu? This information was obtained from this guy's nascent soul search. Qian Jingshan's pupils shrank, and a trace of shock flashed across his eyes. After a while, he said with a serious expression, I didn't think that the great Zhou dynasty's demon sect had already infiltrated the Qi kingdom. But to deal with the great Zhou dynasty's demon sect, Lu Kuan interrupted, Lu and the Yinyang sect's Su Junwen have some friendship. This time, apart from inviting the blood demon sect, he will also invite the Yinyang sect to attack together. With our combined forces, even the great Zhou dynasty's top-ranked demon sect will be nothing. Qian Jingshan hesitated and said, Since Master Lu has this plan, it seems that he has the intention to kill the Seven Fiends sect. Just the Saint Devil sect offending Master Lu doesn't seem to be worth such a big move. Could the pavilion master tell us the reason? Lu Kuan glanced at Lu Yanjun and didn't answer. Junior sister Lu is not an outsider. Master Lu, you don't need to worry. Lu Kuan said slowly, according to the results of Lu's soul search, the Seven Fiends sect has been hiding some kind of treasure of the Saint Devil sect. This treasure is extremely helpful in breaking through to the spirit severing stage. Now that the Saint Devil sect has taken over the Seven Fiends sect, it is to let their great elder refine this treasure and borrow the Qi Kingdom's demon, Yuan Qi, to try to break through to the spirit-severing stage. A treasure that can help the spirit-severing stage break through. Hearing this, Qian Jingshan couldn't help but stand up. He already knew that the Saint Devil sect's disciple had appeared in the Seven Fiends sect. He also guessed that they wanted to borrow the Qi Kingdom's demon Yuan Qi, but he didn't know about this treasure that could help the spirit-severing stage breakthrough. Lu Kuan chuckled and said, Fellow Taoist Qian, Lu wants to destroy the Seven Fiends sect. On one hand, he wants to kill their great elder in the cradle of his breakthrough. On the other hand, he wants to obtain this treasure. If the blood-refining sect is willing to cooperate, we can share this treasure. The blood-refining sect has never cooperated with the body-refining pavilion before, so they don't understand the methods of body-refining sect. This kind of battle between sects is what the body-refining pavilion is best at. And with Lu at the front, everyone's safety will be greatly increased. Hearing Lu Kuan's words, Qian Jingshan's eyes flashed with interest. He hesitated for a moment and said, Master Lu, this is a serious matter. I need to gather all the elders in the sect to discuss this. Lu Kuan laughed and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, please discuss this quickly. Lu will go to the Yinyang sect first. I hope to hear good news from you when I return. Goodbye." With that, his body flashed and turned into a ray of light, flying out of the meeting hall. A hole was smashed through the restriction at the door. Chapter 1101. Qian Jingshan looked at the hole in the restriction with an unsightly expression. Spiritual light flashed in his hand, and a formation plate appeared. Layers of formation lines appeared on it, and on these lines, tiny holes appeared one after another. Seeing this, Lu Yanjun couldn't help but say, "This Master Lu is too rude. Even if his abilities are powerful, there's no need for him to break through layer after layer of restrictions to leave." The corner of Qian Jingshan's mouth twitched, and he said with a bitter smile, "Back then, I also secretly snuck into the body refining pavilion. Apart from showing off his strength, this guy also wanted to take revenge. He sent a series of spell seals into the formation plate, and the broken restrictions automatically recovered. At the same time, his lips moved slightly, and he sent out several talismans to calm the panicked disciples outside." Qian Jingshan put away the formation plate and said slowly, "Although we didn't open the restriction formation with our strength, we couldn't have broken through the restrictions so quickly. Junior apprentice Sister Lo, that was the first time you met Master Lu. What do you think of his strength?" Lu Yanjun hesitated for a moment and said, "Although Junior apprentice Sister is proficient in the art of perception, this Master Lu is extremely strange. There's no demonic aura in his body, only a strange pressure that makes people shudder. That feeling, it's like," she frowned, as if she couldn't think of a word to describe it. Qian Jingshan said, "Isn't it like facing a top-grade demonic zombie?" Lu Yanjun said in realization, "That's right, it's the feeling of fighting a demonic zombie. Especially when Master Lu left, that pressure was even more obvious. Could it be that the body refining technique is to cultivate a physical body like a demonic zombie?" Qian Jingshan sighed softly and said, "Senior apprentice brother's demonic zombie couldn't even last one move before it was easily captured. Also, I have a faint feeling that his strength seems to have broken through again compared to 100 years ago. This person's physical body is probably several times stronger than a nascent soul-stage demonic zombie. Also, when he saw the two of us, he didn't show any fear at all. That confidence brought about by his powerful strength doesn't seem to be fake. I'm afraid that even if we join forces, we might not be able to take him down." Lu Yanjun revealed a shocked expression and said, "That can't be. Although Junior Martial Sister made a breakthrough with the help of Senior Martial Brother's devil cultivation art and her blood demon force didn't change, the density of her devil force is no less than that of a veteran late nascent soul realm cultivator. Senior Brother has even reached the peak of Grand Cultivator realm. That top-grade demonic zombie and the demonic zombie refined from Sidu Hao's fleshly body are at least equivalent to 3 grand cultivators working together. With such strength, we are confident that we can deal with old fiend Pang at his peak." Qian Jingshan shook his head and said, "Junior sister, you haven't fought with Master Lu before. You can't judge him with the means of an ordinary immortal cultivator. Apart from having the offensive power of a great cultivator, he also has a body and speed that far surpasses that of a devil zombie." Lu Yanjun's expression changed. She naturally knew the strength of a nascent soul-stage demonic zombie. If Master Lu was really like what Qian Jingshan said, they would probably have to use the power of the formation to restrict him. Qian Jingshan continued, "Lu Kuan was able to obtain such detailed information about the Seven Fiends sect. This means that the Saint Devil sect's third elder was really killed by him. This demonic sect that is ranked at the top of the Great Zhou dynasty is not simple. In history, there has been more than one divine transformation cultivator. Their foundation is so deep that we can't compare to it. Old Fiend Pang also killed a grand cultivator from the Great Zhou dynasty, but he didn't have the strength to capture his nascent soul. It can be seen that Master Lu's magical means have already surpassed old Fiend Pang's. He pondered for a moment and said, "Junior Sister Lu, gather the 5 elders. I'll discuss the members of the 7 Fiends sect." Lu Yanjun was slightly stunned and said, "Senior Brother Qian has already decided to participate in the battle?" Qian Jingshan nodded and said, "For our sect, this matter has more advantages than disadvantages. Not only can we eliminate the threat of the Great Zhou dynasty, we can also obtain some secret techniques from the Great Zhou dynasty. Even the resources of the North Zhou dynasty will be redistributed. Even without the treasure that Master Lu mentioned, these benefits are enough for us to participate in the battle." Lu Yanjun nodded and said, "Junior Sister, I'll go inform them now." After she finished speaking, she turned into a beam of spiritual light and left the meeting hall. Qian Jingshan murmured, "The information that the Supreme Devil revealed was useful. But who would have thought that a grand cultivator from the Saint Devil sect would die at the hands of Lu Kuan? The Saint Devil sect must be eliminated. This matter can't be better if the Body Refining Pavilion takes the lead." The Yinyang sect was located in the eastern province of the Qi Kingdom. The sect was built on a vast plain. There were all kinds of exquisite buildings here. If it weren't for the faintly discernible formations and restrictions, it would look like a huge mortal city. A few hundred miles away from the Yinyang sect, a burly bald man stood on a mountain top. He held a milky white jade pendant in his hand, as if he was waiting for something. After an unknown amount of time, the bald man turned his head and looked in a certain direction. The corner of his mouth curled up. "Since Fairy Su is here, why hide?" In another direction of the mountain top, 3 figures gradually appeared. The one in the lead was a beautiful woman in a purple dress with a curvy figure. Behind her was a man and a woman. They both had outstanding looks and figures. The 3 of them were wrapped in a layer of protective spiritual light, revealing the demonic aura of a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. This beautiful woman was the current Holy Lord of the Yinyang sect, Su Junwen. She looked at the bald man in front of her. Her long and narrow eyelids trembled slightly, and her pupils turned black and white. She slowly said, "So it's Daoist Zhang. May I know why you've agreed to meet me?" The bald man looked at the 2 people behind her meaningfully, but didn't say anything. Su Junwen said softly, "They're my trusted subordinates. Daoist Zhang, please feel free to speak." The bald man nodded slightly. The muscles on his face twisted, and short black hair grew on his bald head. He cupped his fists and said, "Fairy Su, let me introduce myself again. I'm Lu Kuan, the owner of the Body Refining Pavilion." The Body Refining Pavilion. Before Su Junwen could say anything, the 2 people behind her were shocked. Su Junwen narrowed her eyes and felt the familiar soul aura again. She sighed and said, "I only guessed that Daoist Zhang was a disciple of the Body Refining Pavilion. I didn't expect you to be Master Lu. Please forgive me." Lu Kuan said with a serious expression, "Before the Body Refining Pavilion appeared, Lu didn't want to meet you in person. Please forgive me, Fairy Su. I'm here on behalf of the Body Refining Pavilion. I have something important to discuss." As he spoke, his nascent soul late-stage divine sense spread out from his body and shrouded the entire mountain. When the man and woman from the Yinyang sect sensed the divine sense, their expressions changed drastically. A pair of black and white shields floated in front of them. Lu Kuan didn't care about their actions. He said slowly, "Lu wants to invite the Yinyang sect to join forces with the pavilion to destroy the 7 Fiends sect." "What? Destroy the 7 Fiends sect?" Su Junwen's expression changed. She was even more shocked than when she knew Lu Kuan's identity. She couldn't help but ask, "The 7 Fiends sect is in the north of the Qi Kingdom. The Body Refining Pavilion is in the Wei Kingdom. The 2 sects are very far from each other. Why does Master Lu want to deal with the 7 Fiends sect?" Lu Kuan said meaningfully, "Fairy Su, you don't know. The Seven Fiends sect disappeared long ago. It is now under the control of the Saint Devil sect. What we want to destroy are the demonic cultivators of the Great Zhou dynasty who broke into the Qi kingdom. The fifth sect of the Great Zhou dynasty, the Saint Devil sect. Lu Kuan's hand flashed. A triangular token appeared in his hand, and he threw it over. Su Junwen caught it and scanned it with her divine sense. The third elder of the Saint Devil sect, Shuetianyu? Lu Kuan said, the restriction in this token has the unique mark of the Saint Devil sect. It is difficult for other sects to copy it. Lu learned about it from this guy's nascent soul. Now, the first elder of the Saint Devil sect is in the Seven Fiends sect. He is preparing to break through the bottleneck of the soul formation stage. If he succeeds, not only will the demonic essence of the Qi kingdom be refined by him, it will also be difficult for your sect to survive. The Holy Poison sect of the West Continent has always been a subordinate sect of the Body Refining Pavilion. Facing this future threat, our pavilion has to act in advance. At this point, Lu Kuan's mouth moved slightly and he sent a message with his divine sense. When Su Junwen heard this, he revealed a pleasantly surprised expression and said, Pavilion Master Lu, are you serious? Lu Kuan nodded and said, of course. Why don't you tell Fairy Su that the Blood Refining sect has agreed to join forces? Whether the Yin-Yang sect participates or not, we will kill the Seven Fiends sect. Hearing this, Su Junwen discussed with the two people behind her for a moment. She slowly said, it is not impossible for me to agree, but what is Fairy Su's request? Su Junwen's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of seriousness. Although it is rumored that Master Lu has the strength of a grand cultivator, I know that the Pavilion Master was only at the core formation stage 200 years ago. I believe that my talent is outstanding and I have many opportunities. Even so, I have only barely reached the mid-nascent soul stage. I want to confirm if Master Lu is as terrifying as the rumors say. Lu Kuan smiled and said, Fairy Su wants to test Lu's strength? No problem, the three of you can attack together. Okay. Not long after, a series of rumbling sounds came from the top of the mountain. The surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth surged. The terrifying commotion even spread hundreds of miles away. Chapter 1102. In the past few days, a shocking piece of news had spread throughout the cultivation world of the Western continent. The Sacred Poison sect had annihilated the nascent soul cultivators of the 4 sects and 3 clans and completely occupied the demonic Dragon Mountain range. They also announced to the public that they had changed their name to the Poison Refining Pavilion. With the demonic Dragon Mountain range as their core, they would clear out the remaining forces of the 4 sects and 3 clans and expand outward. For a time, the remaining small forces and independent cultivators of the Western continent were in a state of panic. The demonic Dragon Mountain range. Many disciples of the Poison Refining Pavilion and the Body Refining Pavilion were carrying bulging storage bags as they shuttled back and forth between the mountains. They had moved the forbidden formation of the Sacred Poison sect over and planned to use the poisonous miasma here to set up the Myriad Poisons formation. The mountain peak at the very front of the mountain range looked very special. It was square-shaped and had 2 strange rocks that were hundreds of feet tall at the back. They looked like a pair of dragon horns, while the front part had 2 huge rocks that looked like huge dragon mouths roaring towards the east. This was the Dragon Head Peak of the demonic Dragon Mountain range. The ancient restriction here had been broken and the poisonous miasma that had been restrained by the restriction was gradually released and spread throughout the entire mountain range. Halfway up the mountain, there was a triangular cave entrance that was about 100 feet tall. Extremely pure demonic qi surged out from it. A 3-zhang-tall giant stood at the entrance of the cave. His body shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. The black halo on his arms gradually dissipated. Soon, he turned into a middle-aged man. It was Lu Kuan. There were 2 people standing behind him. They were Huang Xiaoyun and Duan shock still lingered in their eyes. It was the first time they had seen the transcendence world. The pressure from the dense yuan qi of heaven and earth made them tremble uncontrollably. The remaining power of the restriction has completely dissipated. Xiaoyun, you can move the restriction of the 5 elements over here first. Huang Xiaoyun came back to his senses and hurriedly agreed. A few days ago, the ancient restriction here had been broken under the attacks of several nascent soul cultivators of the body refining pavilion. However, there were still many remnants, and they were unable to set up a new formation. Lu Kun walked forward, and a vast space entered his eyes. This was a gigantic cave, thousands of feet long and hundreds of feet tall. There were stone pillars densely packed inside, and it looked like a stone forest. Each stone pillar was covered in a layer of dark yellow spiritual light that slowly emitted smoke. Except for the smoke's color, it contained the same poison as the poisonous miasma outside. The poison of demonic dragon mountain range's body, the miasma of heaven and earth. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand, and a ball of gray poisonous miasma was sucked into his hand. He sensed the aura contained within and nodded. There is indeed the aura of the qi of heaven and earth inside. Your speculations should be correct. The function of this ancient restriction is to gather the unique Xian Huang qi in the depths of the demonic dragon mountain range. With the help of the special spiritual energy nurtured by the heavens and earth, it can destroy the water of the true demon. Lu Kuan looked into the distance. 5,000 feet away, there were 2 true demonic pools in the middle. More than half of the true demonic water was still there. However, in the process of condensing the qi of heaven and earth, poison was accidentally mixed in, causing the originally pure spiritual substance of heaven and earth to become highly toxic and filthy. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation of poison, it completely broke through the power of the restriction and exposed the demonic pool. He asked, "Little Du, you've been here for the past few days. Did you find anything?" Duan revealed a strange expression and said, "Pavilion Master, I did find something. The formation on the stone pillars seems to be related to the sacred poison technique." Lu Kuan was stunned and said, "Sacred poison technique?" Duan organized his words and said, "Pavilion Master should know that the sacred poison technique is actually divided into 2 parts. One of them is the cultivation method and the other is the method of refining poison. Only by refining the poison into the demonic power can one smoothly break through." He walked to a stone pillar and pointed to the lines on both sides of a stone crack and said, "These runes are the special method of refining poison in the sacred poison technique. If I hadn't entered the nascent soul stage, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to see it." Lu Kuan pondered and said, "Since the Yuan sect has condensed the qi of heaven and earth, it's impossible to use the method of refining poison. Did someone add it later? But even if it has the effect of refining poison, where did the poison come from?" Duan hesitated and said, "I've studied this miasma. The poison has been combined with the qi of heaven and earth. It has a very strong resistance. Even the power of 100 poisons can't be refined in a short time. I feel that the poison also comes from the depths of the demonic dragon mountain. But in addition to the power of prohibition, there is also the qi of heaven and earth. The deeper you go, the more amazing the gravity. I'm afraid only Senior Brother Pan can sneak in to investigate." Lu pondered and said, "I'll tell Xiao Yan later. Now I'll give you a task. Copy the formation here as soon as possible and collect all the poison mist and stone pillars." Duan was slightly taken aback. Looking at the dense stone pillars, he smiled bitterly. "Pavilion Master, this is equivalent to using the Tao of arrays to break this profound yellow array. With disciples' attainments in arrays, I don't know how long it will take." Lu Kuan waved his hand and said, "I'll arrange for the formation masters of Chu countries, Xingyue Pavilion, to help. The sooner the better." "Yes, Pavilion Master." Huang Xiaoyun said strangely, Master, we've already occupied this place. It's all ours. Why do we have to take back the body refining pavilion? Lu Kuan looked at the devil's pool in the distance and said slowly, Xiao Yun, you should know the importance of the devil's pool to the body refining pavilion. The true devils can be said to be a necessity for body cultivators in the bone treasure stage. After the bone transformation stage, there will be a great demand for such a place with devil chi. Although this demonic dragon mountain is not bad, it has a major flaw. It is too far from the Wei Kingdom. The teleportation formation needs a certain amount of time to activate. It's fine if it encounters small skirmishes. The prohibition formation and the power of the 5 elements can buy time. But if it's besieged by several top cultivators or attacked by soul formation cultivators, the teleportation formation will become the best place for the enemy to ambush the body refining pavilion's disciples. Hearing this, Huang Xiaoyun said hesitantly, Master's current strength is comparable to that of a top cultivator. Who in the surrounding sects would dare to attack the body refining pavilion? As for soul formation cultivators, other than the deceased senior of the soul formation sect, there hasn't been an appearance for tens of thousands of years. Lu Kuan shook his head and said with a deep gaze, Xiao Yun, you may not know how tempting the body refining technique is to the top sects of the great Zhou dynasty. In these sects there are even soul formation cultivators in charge. Although these old fellows' strength will be weakened after leaving the great Zhou dynasty, they are still invincible to nascent soul cultivators. If all of the nascent soul cultivators in the body refining pavilion join forces, they may be able to fight against the old monsters with the help of special restrictions and treasures. But the premise is that the body refining pavilion's territory cannot be scattered and can quickly gather the strongest cultivators. Huang Xiaoyun's face paled. Master, if you say so, could it be that the great Zhou dynasty's cultivators have already set their eyes on us? Lu Kuan snorted. The people of the Xian sect have all been killed by me. Only those from the Saint Devil sect are left. After dealing with them, I will personally go to the great Zhou dynasty and find out the strength of soul formation cultivators. At the same time, I will find some entertainment for the Xian sect. At the very least, that old monster won't be able to come out of seclusion in the short term. At the same time, we have to make other preparations. If the great Zhou dynasty's sects come on an expedition, they will definitely pass through the state of Qi. Hearing this, Huang Xiaoyun suddenly understood. I understand. Master has his eyes on the Blood Demon Mountain range of the Blood Refining sect and wants to use the Demon Dragon Mountain range to trade. If that's the case, then the Blood Refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect will be on the 2 sides of the body refining pavilion. The 3 sects will form a triangle. If the great Zhou dynasty wants to attack the body refining pavilion in the center, they will be surrounded by the other 2 sections. It will be much more difficult. Lu Kuan praised. That's right. However, the Blood Refining sect has been operating in the Blood Demon Mountain range for many years and won't move easily. This time, the 7 Fiends sect's attack will be the time to show them their strength. After the 7 Fiends sect is destroyed, the state of Qi will be divided again. The Poison Refining Pavilion and the Body Refining Pavilion will be in the southwest of the Blood Demon Mountain range, while the Yin-Yang sect will be in the east. The Blood Refining sect, which is in the middle, will definitely not be able to eat or sleep well. Then we will have a chance to talk. At this point, he said in a deep voice, 10 days from now will be the day of the battle. Gather the strongest disciples of the Body Refining sect. This time, in the battle of the 7 Fiends sect, we will show the terrifying strength of Body Refining. Let the demon sect of the state of Qi know that the Body Refining Pavilion can only be a friend, not an enemy. Chapter 1103. The Ancestor of Body Cultivators needs to be updated. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1104. State of Chi, Essence Fiend Valley. On a peak at the edge of the valley, a voluptuous woman looked towards the south. She held a voice transmission talisman in her hand and frowned. Senior Brother Shui died in the state of Chu? Could the Grand Elder have made a mistake? He's in some kind of ancient restriction that could cause his soul to lose its ability to sense. He might not have died. This woman was called Mu Shui. She was one of the nascent soul elders from the Saint Devil sect who had come to the state of Qi. She was at the peak of the mid-nascent soul stage and was the closest to Shui Tianyu among all the elders. Elder Brother Shui said earlier that he would be joining forces with Peng Yuanhua from the Supreme Profundity sect, as well as the Grand Cultivators from the state of Chu. With such a force, they would be able to hold their own against 3 or 4 10th-level demonic beasts. Furthermore, they were only dealing with one person. Furthermore, it was an ambush and a sneak attack. If they still managed to kill him, wouldn't that mean that the owner of the body-refining pavilion has reached the divine transformation stage? Just as Mu Shui was puzzled, 3 enormous black battleships suddenly appeared in the southern sky and aggressively shot towards the Essence Fiend Valley. Battleships? Enemy attack. Mu Shui recalled the Grand Elder's warning and shivered. Her hands flashed with a spell and a long bell rang throughout the entire Essence Fiend Valley. Almost at the same time, an unfathomable divine sense appeared in the depths of the valley and quickly probed outside. But before it could touch the 3 battleships, 4 powerful divine senses greeted it. 100-meter-wide divine sense storm exploded in the air and invisible shockwaves surged in all directions. Some of the low-level demon cultivators outside the valley clutched their heads and screamed. The 2 waves of divine senses were somewhat wary of each other and dispersed upon contact. They didn't continue to collide. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Mu Shui also swept her gaze over the 3 battleships. Each battleship was more than 60 meters long and was densely covered in inscriptions. They also contained a complex restriction force, and there were many people moving about inside. And on the sides of the battleships, the names of the 3 sects were carved out of some kind of dark gold material. The blood-refining sect, the Yin-Yang sect, and the body-refining pavilion. The woman muttered, "Isn't the body-refining pavilion part of the Wei Kingdom? Why are they working together with the Qi Kingdom's devil sect?" At this moment, a solemn voice suddenly sounded in her ears. "Junior Sister Mu, arrange for the devil cultivators of the 7 Evils sect to preside over the Grand Forbidden Formation. The elders of our sect will come to the Forbidden Grounds and activate the Dual Origin Devil Formation." When Mu Shui heard her great elder's voice transmission, she quickly calmed down. Countless seals flashed on her hands as sound transmission talismans were thrown out. A large number of high-level demonic cultivators from the 7 Fiends sect flew towards the various nodes of the array formation. A few breaths later, the gray fiendish energy that enveloped Essence Fiend Valley swiftly surged. A gray curtain of light rose, and then waves of thick black mist spread out of the valley. From time to time, all kinds of groans would come out from the fog. Countless illusions that would cause one's soul to become dizzy intertwined, as if it was some kind of incomparably powerful illusion. In the forbidden grounds of Essence Fiend Valley, a dozen or so nascent soul stage demonic cultivators stood. Each of them had a serious expression. Their hands did not stop moving, and one after another, rays of spirit light shot into the black curtain of light. The black spirit light trembled slightly and began to thin out. At the same time, it spread out in all directions. The gray fiendish energy in the valley that was affected by the spirit light seemed to have undergone some kind of change, turning into a dark yellow color. In the center of the forbidden grounds, a middle-aged man in brocade robes sat quietly in the devil pool. The appearance of the true devil pool was very different. Not only did the true devil intent within it disappear, but the true devil water had also turned into a dark yellow liquid, emitting a strong fiendish energy. This person was the Saint Devil sect's great elder, Huang Chong. He looked in the direction of the 3 battleships, and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. Although there were only a dozen or so nascent soul stage cultivators from the Saint Devil sect that came to the state of Qi, and their overall strength was not enough to fight against the local demonic sects of the state of Qi, but since he dared to come here to break through, he naturally had a plan. I have already successfully merged with the devil intent. The reason I did not rush to break through to the spirit severing stage was because I was waiting for you people to come. As long as the dual Yuan devil formation spreads the devil Qi here, I will be able to easily control the devil Yuan Qi in the valley. Huang Chong waved one hand, and a layer of faint black light appeared around his body, turning into an exquisite armor that wrapped around his body. In this place, I can use the special ability of the divine transformation stage to manifest my primordial Qi. Even the terrifying old devil Pang couldn't compete with me, let alone these people who came later. Humph, and the body refining pavilion. It's good that you came. According to the calculations of that senior, there are no spirit-severing stage cultivators in this immortal realm. Junior brother Shui's death was probably due to Peng Yuanhua's betrayal. After I kill all your high-level cultivators, no one will disturb my breakthrough. As long as I enter the spirit-severing stage, the body-refining art is destined to be mine. Huang Chang's gaze became extremely cold. Outside the Essence Fiend Valley, 3 battleships floated in the air. They did not approach the illusion restriction of the Essence Fiend Valley. At the front of the middle battleship stood 2 men and 2 women. Other than Qian Jingshan and Lu Yanjun of the Blood Refining sect, Su Junwen of the Yinyang sect, there was also an extremely thin middle-aged man. The dense dermic power that he revealed was as sharp as a storm of blades. If ordinary cultivators approached him, they would feel a sense of suffocation. This person was none other than Yu Longfei. Originally, due to his meridians, even if he forced a breakthrough, his meridians would not be able to contain the sharp dermic power of a great cultivator. However, after Lu Kuan strengthened them, it was completely different. It was equivalent to broadening his aptitude. In the past few years, apart from cultivating, Yu Longfei had also completely absorbed the sharp dermic power of the Gengjin stone. The purity of his dermic power had increased, barely meeting the requirements for a breakthrough secret technique. During the battle for the demonic dragon mountain in the body refining pavilion, he had successfully cultivated this secret technique with the help of the sharp dermic power of the Sword Valley. He had finally broken through and become a late nascent soul sword cultivator. Yu Longfei rubbed his temples. Feeling the divine will from before, his eyes were still filled with shock. As expected of the Grand Elder of the top sect of the Great Zhou dynasty, the power of his divine will is so condensed. If the 4 of us had not worked together, any one of us would have been at a disadvantage. Qian Jingshan said with a serious expression, "If I'm not wrong, there is an extreme will hidden in his divine will. It seems to have fused with the power of will." Hearing this, Su Junwen could not help but say, "Fellow Taoist Qian, are you sure you're not wrong? The will of a demonic cultivator can only be the true demonic will. If he has comprehended it, it means that he has stabilized his demonic soul and stepped into the soul formation stage." Qian Jingshan shook his head and said, "Impossible. If this person has entered the soul formation stage, at least half of the demonic Yuan Qi in the Qi kingdom will be affected. Such a huge commotion cannot be concealed. And if he has not entered the soul formation stage but has fused with the true demonic will, then there is only one possibility. That is, he is soaking in the demonic pool and is breaking through to the soul formation stage." Qian Jingshan looked at the forbidden formation of the Essence Fiend Valley and said with a frown, "Although this is the best time to attack, the forbidden formation of the 7 Evils sect is not simple. And the illusion formation outside is obviously brought by the Saint Devil sect. The magic treasures that we control with our divine will all be affected by the illusion. I'm afraid that we will not be able to attack the forbidden formation directly and will not be able to break it in a short time. But if we take too long, the other party may succeed in breaking through and become a soul formation demonic cultivator. At that time, we will have no chance of winning. Saying this, he looked at Yu Longfei and cupped his hands, saying, "Fellow Taoist Yu, Master Lu once said that the forbidden formation of the Seven Evils sect will be broken by the body refining pavilion. I wonder." Yu Longfei smiled slightly and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, don't worry. The pavilion master should have already started attacking. However, his ability is very powerful and needs some time to prepare. When the pavilion master breaks through the forbidden formation, we just need to follow behind and attack the Essence Fiend Valley. Everyone, please wait patiently." As if confirming Yu Longfei's words, as soon as he finished speaking, everyone could faintly hear a continuous rumbling sound. The surrounding air had unknowingly started to tremble slightly, and waves of invisible hurricanes surged violently. Chapter 1105. Qian Jingshan and the others were slightly stunned and couldn't help but look behind them. In the distant sky, a blazing bright spot appeared. Its brightness was even as dazzling as the sun in the sky. In the blue sky, a bright trail of flames was drawn. A meteorite from outer space? No, it's a little different. This suspected meteorite fireball was more than 100 miles away from them, and their divine sense couldn't detect it. It fell with unparalleled speed, and the blazing light was the flame produced by the friction with the air. The temperature of the flame was gradually rising as it accelerated. The sound of the flame exploding and the sound of the air being compressed shook the air and spread in all directions. Normally, meteorites from outer space would gradually wear down as they traveled further. However, this meteorite was expanding instead. At the same time, the blazing light of the flame gradually dimmed, and a purple-black halo appeared around it. It intertwined with the flame and turned into a cone-shaped dark flame that compressed the air. With the impact of the meteorite, the halo was still rapidly thickening. At 100 miles away, although Qian Jingshan and the others could detect it with their divine sense, they couldn't get close. The explosive flame was mixed with such rich demonic essence, and if they got too close, it would even hurt their divine sense. Qian Jingshan said with dry lips, "Fellow Taoist Yu, is this the meteorite spell Master Lu used? Even the most powerful cultivator can't condense such rich demonic essence. Could it be that Master Lu has already entered the soul formation stage?" Yu Longfei looked at the rapidly approaching purple-black meteorite as if he was admiring a magnificent scene. When he heard this, he chuckled and said, "Fellow Taoist Qian, you're wrong. Pavilion Master hasn't entered the soul formation stage, and this spell isn't a meteorite spell." "Not a spell?" Yu Longfei said proudly, "That's right. This meteorite is the Pavilion Master's physical body." When the others heard this, they all had a look of disbelief. "The entity in the halo is at least 3 feet long. How can it be a physical body? Judging from its speed, I'm afraid it has already accelerated from several hundred miles away. Although the force of impact is terrifying, the damage of this force is two-way. Even a peak level 10 demonic beast with a strong physical body would be smashed into meat paste. Could it be that Master Lu's body is no weaker than a top-notch defensive magical equipment?" Yu Longfei listened to everyone's words and said with a fervent look in his eyes, "Pavilion Master's physical body mystique is beyond imagination. This meteor mystique uses the strong defense of the physical body to combine the power of the devil essence Qi with the impact force of a few hundred miles of acceleration. Even if there are powerful illusionary restrictions outside Essence Fiend Valley, they are completely useless in the face of a physical attack like this. As for the forbidden formation inside, how can it withstand an attack that is comparable to a divine transformation cultivator?" Aside from shock, there was also intense fear in everyone's eyes. Just from the might alone, they could tell that neither the Seven Evils sect nor their own sect's protective formation could block such an attack. Probably only a sect with a divine transformation cultivator in charge would be able to use an even more exquisite origin chi formation to defend. Disregarding the reactions of these great cultivators, the other demonic cultivators were even more shocked. Their mouths were slightly agape as if they were children seeing fireworks for the first time. The extremely thick devil essence chi pressure caused the demonic power in most people's bodies to shrink back into their dantian in fear. Only those with cultivation above the middle stage of the nascent soul realm were slightly better off. As the meteor approached, the three battleships had to activate all the restrictions on them and descend at the same time. Even so, they were still shaken by the shocking wind pressure. Not long after, the meteor emitting purple-black flames streaked across the sky above everyone. The restrictions on the three battleships shone with rays of spirit light and barely managed to resist the ferocious air currents. Qian Jingshan and the others were still unable to tell if this meteor was made from a human body at such a close distance, but they could see that there was a long silver object spinning at high speed within the thick devil essence chi. The purplish-black flames outside were also spinning at high speed, like a cone-shaped drill hole. The amazing spinning force even drove the air around the meteorite. Within a range of 20 feet, the air pressure was distorted. The meteor left behind a scorching hot air and a faint purple spirit chi tail flame above the battleships as it charged straight towards Essence Fiend Valley. Seeing this, Yu Longfei waved his hand and a large brass sword appeared in front of him. He said with an excited expression, "Everyone, we will follow closely behind the Pavilion Master and directly attack into the heart of Essence Fiend Valley. We will destroy the Seven Fiends sect in one go." With that, he became one with his sword and turned into a dazzling golden sword aura that shot forward. Qian Jingshan, Lu Yanjun and Su Junwen looked at each other. The power of the nascent soul surged in their bodies as they followed behind. The cultivators on the three battleships seemed to have received some kind of order as they all became excited. They started to move the battleships and charged forward. Just as the purple-black meteor was about to approach Essence Fiend Valley, everyone seemed to hear an angry roar that shook the heavens. The silver entity, which was originally 30 feet tall, expanded once again. In an instant it became 50 feet tall. The purplish-black flames surrounding it instantly condensed and turned into the shape of a huge fist, which smashed down viciously. Rumble, the purple-black meteor carried an unparalleled terrifying power as it approached the illusory restriction outside Essence Fiend Valley. Just the terrifying pressure on the outside was enough to squeeze out a large patch of illusory fog, as if it had bitten a large hole in a huge semicircle. Then, a dazzling purple sun rose up, and circles of vigorous waves of primordial chi surged wildly in all directions. More than half of the illusion restriction spell on the periphery was instantly shaken away, revealing the restriction spell on the inside. This powerful restriction that could withstand the combined attacks of many great cultivators had a hole of about 100 feet forcefully smashed open. This hole was still spreading outwards under the surging spirit chi. The thick gray light barrier shattered piece by piece. The dozens of demonic cultivators that were maintaining the formation were all heavily injured due to their mental connection. They all fell to the ground with haggard expressions. After breaking through the forbidden formation, the meteor's power seemed to have not been completely released. It continued to fall deeper into Essence Fiend Valley, shattering layer after layer of restrictions before finally crashing into the center of the valley. Boom! It was as if the entire world was trembling. The ground of Essence Fiend Valley trembled violently. Countless restrictions in the cave abodes flashed incessantly, resisting the terrifying tremors that seemed like an earth dragon turning over. Rings of shockwaves mixed with purple-black halos rolled out in all directions. Countless profound restrictions were destroyed by the shockwave. Many of the pale yellow infernal auras in the valley turned back into gray infernal auras under the impact of the Yuan Qi shockwave. A giant crater that was at least 10,000 feet wide appeared on the ground of the center of Essence Fiend Valley. The original buildings here were all destroyed. Only a dim light barrier remained, trembling at the edge of the crater. A dozen or so demonic cultivators stood in this layer of restriction with pale faces. They stared blankly at all this. Saint Devil Sect's Grand Elder Huang Chong clenched his fists tightly. His body trembled slightly. His previously confident expression had long since disappeared. What replaced it was fear. If the forbidden area was located in the center of the valley, not to mention the dual-origin devil formation, this fiendish demon pool that they had worked so hard to refine would have been destroyed by the terrifying meteor attack. Huang Chang's face was extremely pale. Such dense devil essence qi. Such a spirit qi manifestation ability. Could it be that the news of the fiendish demon pool was leaked? Could it be that the old monster of the Prime Devil Sect used this ability? This spirit qi wave even dispersed more than half of the fiendish qi in the valley. The devil intense effect was greatly reduced. The opponent even had the help of several great cultivators. What kind of spell was that? Among the spirit formation abilities recorded in our sect, there doesn't seem to be anything related to meteors. Wait, what is that? After a while, the devil essence qi wave gradually dissipated. In the center of the crater, there was a huge black body that was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Gradually, it turned into a badly mutilated middle-aged man. This person's body was covered in wounds. Bones could be seen in many places. However, his flesh and blood were rapidly recovering. Soon, a gray robe covered his body. This muscular man looked towards Huang Chang's direction and smiled. This must be Taoist Huang of the Saint Devil Sect. I am the owner of the body refining pavilion, Lu Kuan. Chapter 1106. Huang Chong gazed at Lu Kuan from afar with a marvelous expression. This was struck by a human's body? Not a magic treasure? Could the owner of the body refining pavilion be at deity transformation stage? That's impossible. There's no way that Senior couldn't sense the commotion caused by a deity transformation breakthrough. But the scene of devil essence qi transforming into a fist just now is clearly a manifestation of essence qi. Huang Chang's mind was filled with questions. The scene before him had completely exceeded his understanding. Lu Kuan slowly walked forward, toying with a purple jade bracelet as he endured the throbbing pain from his internal organs. He maintained an indifferent expression and said, "Your junior martial brother is truly bold. He actually dared to ambush Lu. Not only did he deliver a spirit treasure replica, but he also lost his life in vain." As he spoke, a strange magic treasure that resembled a spine appeared in his other hand. It appeared as if he was preparing to attack, but in reality, he was absorbing the devil origin qi stored within to replenish his body's exhaustion. The meteor battle skill was completely different from the one he used to attack the ghost spirit sect. It consumed an astonishing amount of devil origin qi. Before the battle, Lu Kuan had already thought about it. He had to use his most terrifying battle skill to intimidate everyone in one fell swoop. And his most powerful divine ability was the One Yuan power that he could use after using the Devil Ape transformation. However, the Grand Essence power could only be used once. If he wanted to maximize its power, he would have to combine it with the Meteor battle skill. Lu Kuan began to accelerate from several hundred kilometers away. At the same time, he used his heavenly Dharma projection to increase his control over Devil Origin Qi. As time passed, the devil origin qi accumulated around his body became denser and denser. It was nearly 4 to 5 times more than the last time he used it. In the end, when he was close to Yuan Fiend Valley, he used the water of true demon stored in his ribs to use the devil ape transformation. He used the power of 1 yuan to transform the thick devil essence qi into an essence qi solid fist and used it to reinforce his physical body outside of the meteorite. Although Lu Kuan had never seen a true deity transformation cultivator in action, he felt that the impact of the meteor battle technique was not inferior to a deity transformation cultivator's divine ability. Other than destroying the great forbidden formation of Seven Fiends sect, he had also charged into the heart of Essence Fiend Valley and destroyed a large number of profound restrictions. Many of the demonic cultivators that had been brushed by him were directly vaporized. The destruction he had caused was terrifying. Now, Lu Kuan didn't want to hide anymore. He wanted to unleash his most powerful Abhijna and show his strength that was comparable to that of a soul formation cultivator to deter others. Even if the other sects of the great Zhou dynasty coveted the body tempering art, they would have to consider their strength. Now, it seemed that the effect was very good. However, Lu Kuan himself also paid a big price. In addition to the consumption of the water of the true demon, his internal organs were once again injured. Fortunately, he was prepared. In the process of unleashing the meteor battle technique, his life force was gradually transferred to his internal organs along with his demonic energy. The condition of his internal organs was much better than the last time he unleashed the One Yuan force. However, his life force was greatly depleted and needed time to recover. Huang Chong didn't know that the Abhijna just now was the strongest attack that Lu Kuan had been preparing for a long time. From the surface, he couldn't see any signs of injury on the other side. Huang Chong stared at the fallen demon ring and said in a low voice, "Master Lu, there may be a misunderstanding. I only know that Xian Sec's Pring Yuanhua asked junior apprentice brother Shui to help deal with a strong enemy. I didn't know it was you. If Master Lu wants to seek revenge, you should look for Xian Sect first." After a while, the pain in Lu Kuan's internal organs had subsided. He said lightly, "Fellow Taoist Huang, don't worry. The nascent soul stage cultivators of Xian Sect that entered Chu have all been killed by the body refining pavilion. Only you guys from Saint Devil Sect are left." While the two were talking, Yu Longfei and the others landed behind Lu Kuan. Countless demonic cultivators also jumped out of the 3 battleships that flew into the Essence Fiend Valley and charged towards the various strategic locations of the 7 Evils sect. Huang Chong looked at the 5 people a few hundred meters away and couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. If the owner of the body refining pavilion was really at the soul formation stage, with his strange physical body cultivation technique, wouldn't his battle prowess be on par with the demon king of the demon race? Even if there was enough demonic energy around, he wouldn't be a match for him. If this person hadn't entered the soul formation stage, he wouldn't be able to break through just by the fact that he was unharmed after falling and had a soul formation level defense. As long as Lu Kuan kept him busy, the other great cultivators would be able to surround and attack him after killing his fellow sect members. No matter which possibility it was, if he fought to the death, he wouldn't be able to survive. Thinking of this, Huang Chong's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. He said in a steady voice, "Fellow junior brothers, the dual Yuan demon formation isn't damaged yet. I've already integrated the demonic intent into it. Together with the demonic energy here, we might be able to fight." As he spoke, his hands flashed with a series of seals. An aura full of demonic energy surged out. Black rings of light circled around his body, as if he was using some kind of powerful secret technique. "You guys continue to activate the formation." The 10 or so nascent soul stage cultivators were invigorated. They raised their demonic energy and poured it into the formation again. The gray demonic energy that had been dispersed started to transform back into yellow demonic energy. Seeing this, Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes. When he fell, he felt that there was something wrong with the demonic energy here. Now, it seemed that it was the formation in front of him that was causing trouble. "My demonic energy has recovered to 60%. I'll kill them all in one go," he snorted coldly. His body flashed as he dashed forward. In the process of sprinting, His flesh and blood changed rapidly. First, his muscles swelled into a giant ball of flesh. Then, his bones grew taller. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a 30 feet tall giant. Thick demonic energy rings of light gathered around his body. The few people behind him also started to move. Yu Longfei's heavenly fault sword emitted a bright golden light. Lu Yanjun activated the 2 demonic blood swords with deep auras. 2 types of energy, one yin and one yang, surged out from Su Junwen's body. His aura increased tremendously. In an instant, he rose from the middle nascent soul stage to the late nascent soul stage. A pair of black and white crescent blades intertwined and followed the attacks of the few people. As for Qian Jingshan, a triangular prism appeared on top of his head. It shot out a thick silver light that enveloped everyone's magic treasures. The air distorted. These magic treasures seemed to be covered by some kind of special magic and disappeared into thin air. To Lu Kuan, the distance of 400 to 500 feet was only a matter of 10 breaths. His pillar-like arms stretched forward and his palms closed together to form a giant fist. The demonic energy rings of light were channeled to the front of his fist and fiercely punched forward. The dual-origin demonic formations, spiritual light, trembled violently. The nascent soul stage cultivators inside continuously formed hand seals. The power of their nascent souls surged wildly to resist this terrifying attack that contained a large amount of demonic energy. Huang Chong felt that the strength of Lu Kuan's attack did not seem to have reached the level of a soul formation stage cultivator. He could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. At this time, he had finished casting his spell. The large amount of yellow demonic energy in the forbidden area gathered towards his body. It merged with the black demonic energy rings to form a black and yellow ball of light. This ball of light trembled slightly. Under everyone's shocked gazes, it charged towards the other side of the Jinji. This ball contained thick fiendish demonic energy. It passed through the Jinji as though it was nothing and sped out of Essence Fiend Valley. Its speed completely exceeded the speed of a late nascent soul stage cultivator. It did not take long for it to rush out of the valley. This Saint Devil Sect's Grand Elder actually abandoned his fellow disciples and escaped alone. Boom! While everyone was stunned, a small gap appeared in the defense of the dual-origin demonic formation. It was completely destroyed by Lu Kuan. Immediately after, the spiritual light of several magic treasures appeared beside a middle nascent soul stage demonic cultivator. The power of several nascent soul stage cultivators' personal magic treasures was unleashed. This person did not have any power to resist. Along with his nascent soul, he was drowned in that enormous power. Even the 2 people who were close to him were instantly severely injured. "I'll go chase after Huang Chong. I'll leave this place to you guys," Lu Kuan said. His body quickly shrunk back to his normal state. A hole appeared in the ground. He flew up. Hundreds of silver lights appeared from his body. At the same time, his 4 limbs moved at an extremely high frequency. He ran in the void. The air was like the earth, giving him strength to walk. The speed he exploded with was even faster than Huang Chong's speed. Seeing Lu Kuan leave, Qian Jingshan and Lu Yanjun waved their hands. 2 purple bodies covered in demonic energy appeared in front of them. Their bodies were covered in scales, and they had sharp claws and bone spikes. They were the peak middle stage demonic zombies that they had refined. Roar! The demonic zombies turned into 2 purple shadows and rushed forward. The remaining 4 nascent soul stage cultivators all used their offensive techniques to attack the remaining nascent soul stage cultivators of the Saint Devil Sect. In an instant, all kinds of magic treasures shone brightly. Enormous spiritual pressure surged in all directions. Chapter 1107. Huang Chong flew quickly in the sky, his face gloomy. The Saint Devil Sect had suffered a great loss in this trip to the Qi Kingdom. All the nascent soul cultivators they brought were probably going to die. Their remaining strength was even weaker than the lower-ranked devil sect. Damn it, how can there be such a freak in such a remote immortal realm? Before Huang Chong came to the Chu country, he had paid a great price. He learned from a master of the great Zhou that all the spirit-severing cultivators in this immortal realm had died. Even the Dragon King outside the Chu country was no longer there. If he knew that Lu Kuan had such terrifying strength, he would not have provoked the body-refining pavilion. In the end, he was too confident in the Saint Devil sect's strength. He thought that there would not be any powerful cultivators in this remote place. Thinking of this, Huang Chang's expression changed. Something is wrong. Not long after we took over the Seven Evils sect, we found out a lot of information about the body-refining pavilion. But there is little information about the blood-refining sect and the Yin-Yang sect. Huang Chang's expression became worse. Now that he thought about it, the Saint Devil sect had been tricked by someone. Their arrogance was used to lure them into provoking the body-refining pavilion. It was either the Yin-Yang sect or the blood-refining sect who did this. But it is useless to think about this now. The Saint Devil sect's loss is irreversible. Only if I can reach the spirit-severing realm can the Saint Devil sect continue to stay in the Great Zhou country. Although I did not reach the spirit-severing realm, I have merged with the devil intent and built a foundation. Before I left, I collected a large amount of devil qi. As long as I find another place with devil qi, I might be able to break through. Although the Yunlu state of the Great Zhou country is vast and has plenty of pure devil qi, there are many devil sects. Once there is a sign of a breakthrough, I am afraid that they will attack me. Especially the old guys from the Prime Devil sect. They might even cross over. Other than the Qi Kingdom, the closest devil realm is the northern cold land on the other side of the Broken Nation. Just then, a silver figure appeared at the edge of his divine sense range. It was getting closer and closer. Huang Chang's expression changed. Just what realm is this guy at? His attack power is hovering between a grand cultivator and a deity transformation stage cultivator. It's one thing for his physical defense to be freakishly strong, but why is his speed so fast as well? The divine spirit treasure was left to junior martial sister Qi to guard the sect. I only have an offensive spirit treasure replica. I'm afraid it won't be able to hurt him. Furthermore, the Devil Fall Ring is a control-type treasure. Its baleful devil qi is limited, so it's not suitable for battle. Thinking of this, Huang Chang's divine sense, which contained the fiend demon true intent, surged. The black and yellow spirit light around his body shrank a little, and the demon Yuan Qi halo became even more dazzling. His speed increased a bit. The speed of both parties was maintained at the same level. Then, one after the other, they shot towards the north of the state of Qi. Inside Essence Fiend Valley, the sounds of battle lasted for half a day before calming down. 7 Fiend Sage and Old Demon Essence Fiend were long gone. There were less than 10 nascent soul stage cultivators left in the 7 Fiend sect. Under the leadership of Huang Xiaoyun and Pan Yen, only one of the nascent soul stage cultivators of the 3 sects managed to escape. The rest were all killed. The core formation stage cultivators in Essence Fiend Valley couldn't even organize a resistance. Being chased by the cultivators of the 3 sects, there were very few who could escape from Essence Fiend Valley. As for the other low-level cultivators, almost none of them managed to escape. At this moment, in the center of the valley, in the forbidden area of the 7 Fiends sect, the spirit light of the broken restriction was scattered. Qian Jingshan and the other 3 each grabbed an unconscious nascent soul and used the soul-searching technique. After a while, a restriction power surged out of these nascent souls. Their souls and nascent souls collapsed. Qian Jingshan opened his eyes and looked at the fiend demon pool in the center of the forbidden area. He frowned and said, "The Saint Devil sect's oath stone is no small matter. I didn't get much information from the soul-searching technique. That treasure that can help in breaking through to the divine transformation stage seems to be this true demon pool that is mixed with fiend chi and demon chi. Su Junwen nodded and said, "What I found is more or less the same. The Saint Devil sect used some kind of secret technique to modify the true demon pool and mixed it with fiend chi. The water inside is no longer pure true demon water. The willpower that Taoist Qian felt before was probably the combination of fiend chi and true demon intent." Yu Longfei said curiously, "Could it be that the fiend chi attribute willpower can increase the chances of a demonic cultivator breaking through to the divine transformation stage? What Huang Chong took away in the end seemed to be the essence of this fiend-demon pool." Qian Jingshan heard this and combined it with the information he got from the soul-searching technique. He looked disappointed and said, "The treasure that Master Lu said to help in breaking through should be this strange fiend-demon pool. It can be used to refine a unique willpower." Obviously, this result had been taken away by Huang Chong. If they knew how to form the fiend-demon pool, they might be able to try it. Unfortunately, this was a secret of the Saint Devil sect and was protected by the Oath Stone. Su Junwen didn't have any regrets about this. She looked at the 20 or so storage bracelets on the ground and laughed. "We have already taken down the 7 Fiends sect. All of their demonic cultivation resources are in these storage bracelets. Just these alone make this trip worthwhile." Hearing her words, the others looked over with burning eyes. Qian Jingshan thought for a while and said to Yu Longfei, "Taoist Yu, why don't we wait for Master Lu to come back and then divide the resources of the 7 Fiends sect?" Yu Longfei waved his hand and said, "Before the Pavilion Master came, he had already ordered us to divide them into 10 portions according to their value. The Body Refining Pavilion will take 4 portions, and the 2 sects will take 3 portions each. What do you two think?" Qian Jingshan and Su Junwen looked surprised. Qian Jingshan smiled bitterly and said, "This battle was all thanks to Master Lu's effort. 30% is a bit too much for us." "I think so too." Yu Longfei smiled and said, "Other than the distribution of the spoils, the Pavilion Master also has a suggestion for the distribution of the Qi Kingdom's resources. He hopes that the 2 sects can work together." Qian Jingshan said seriously, "Brother Yu, please speak." Yu Longfei said, "This operation is the first time that the 3 sects have worked together to fight against the Zhou dynasty's forces. Although the Saint Devil sect's strength has been greatly reduced after this battle, this place of pure Devil Yuan Qi will inevitably be targeted by other Devil sects. Why don't the 3 sects occupy the west, south, and east regions respectively? The 3 sects will form a triangle in the direction of the Zhou dynasty. The north region will be the buffer zone, and we won't have to fight for it. We can just treat it as the west region, and leave it for the rogue cultivators and cultivator families." Hearing this, Su Junwen frowned and said, "Although this is a good idea, if the north region is in chaos, it will be easier for the devil cultivators of the Zhou dynasty to sneak in." Yu Longfei said, "I have also mentioned this to the Pavilion Master. What the Pavilion Master means is that the 3 sects can set up a neutral trading company in the north region. On one hand, we can trade with each other and earn devil stones. On the other hand, we can monitor the movements at the border of Tongtian River. More importantly, the neutral trading company can also attract some devil cultivators to become guest elders of the trading company. The restrictions are much smaller than joining a sect, and we can even gather the experts of small forces. In the future, if the Zhou dynasty devil sects invade again, we will be well prepared." Su Junwen thought about it carefully and felt that such a neutral trading company was also a safeguard for the Yinyang sect. He couldn't help but nod and said, "This is a good idea. Master Lu is indeed far-sighted." The blood refining sect has no objections. Although Qian Jingshan said so, his eyes flashed with worry. He didn't have a problem with the neutral trading company, but the position of the 3 sects was equivalent to including the blood refining sect. Lu Kuan's terrifying meteor fall ability echoed in his mind. If the body refining pavilion had any ideas, the blood refining sect didn't have the slightest confidence to fight against it. Since the two of you agree, then let's divide the spoils. Chapter 1108. North of the northern province of the state of Qi was a vast and boundless river. It was at least 10,000 kilometers wide and stretched as far as the eye could see. It was as vast and deep as the ocean. This was the famous heavenly stream. The lower reaches of this river were the Dead Sea in the western province of the state of Qi. As for the upper reaches, cultivators didn't know. Some said that it led to the ocean on the other side of the continent, while others said that it led to the distant northern frigid lands. There were many different opinions, but no cultivator went to find the answer. This was because the heavenly stream was filled with all kinds of dangers. Even some nascent soul cultivators couldn't guarantee that they could successfully travel from the northern province of the state of Qi to the state of Zhou on the other side. The spiritual energy in the heavenly stream was mixed. Not only was it filled with demonic Qi, but there was also demonic Qi and Yin Qi. Occasionally, there would be spiritual energy storms that were even more terrifying than the chaotic ocean. Many places in the stream were occupied by powerful demonic beasts. These were all ancient beasts. Although they weren't very intelligent, their battle prowess was terrifying. In addition, there were countless small spatial rifts floating in the sky above the stream. They emitted a green glow and were as clear as the stars in the night sky. If cultivators were careful, they wouldn't run into them. However, a strange wind called gentle wind would blow out from these spatial rifts. This wind was different from ordinary wind-type magic. It contained rich spatial energy and was extremely lethal. Normal nascent soul cultivators would be torn to pieces if they were hit by it. If a large amount of gentle wind gathered together to form a storm, even soul formation cultivators would have to flee. Due to the various dangerous places in the heavenly stream, the state of Qi and the state of Zhou were almost completely isolated from each other. They rarely interacted. On this day, two streaks of light appeared on the empty surface of the heavenly stream. Huang Chang's expression was uncertain. In order to maintain such a high speed, he had used up half of his baleful demonic Qi. If he used up all of this unique energy, even with the baleful demonic true intent, his chances of breaking through to the soul formation stage would be greatly reduced. His divine sense sensed the silver figure 5 kilometers away. Fear flashed through his eyes. In addition to using the magic treasure in his body, this fellow is also borrowing power from the void. He treats the air as the earth and runs with the strength of his body. Isn't this strange divine ability one of the records of our sect's seniors? Even in the ancient Devil clan, only the Devil generals with amazing aptitudes could comprehend the supernatural powers of the Devil Kings when they were at level 10. Other than borrowing strength from the void, they could also form a squeezing force field to restrain the nascent soul from a distance. Could it be that the body-refining pavilion's techniques were created by imitating the ancient demons? With the assistance of the void, the consumption of his demonic energy is extremely low. If this continues, he'll catch up to me sooner or later. If I can't beat him back, I'll only be exhausted to death. Thinking of this, Huang Chang's eyes flashed with determination. I, Huang Chong, still have 300 years of life. As long as I'm alive, there's hope. He stopped, and the black and yellow halos around his body retracted. A purple-gold blade appeared in front of him. The blade was engraved with fine demonic runes, and it was filled with an extreme demonic energy. Huang Chong muttered, and a series of complicated spells were injected into the blade. At the same time, the true meaning of the terminus demon in his divine sense also poured into the blade. The purple-black demonic Yuan Qi quickly gathered in the demonic Qi around the heaven-reaching river. This treasure was called the Discerning Demon Blade. It was the most precious treasure of the Saint Devil sect, a replica of the Demon Dragon Blade. Although it was much weaker than the real thing, with this blade in hand, Huang Chong could fight against 2 or 3 great cultivators even without the true meaning of the terminus demon. Other than being able to use Yuan Qi attacks, the discerning demon blade also had a special devouring divine ability. As long as the enemy's cultivation was lower than the caster's, the enemy's spell would be absorbed by the blade. This divine ability could not only absorb the enemy's spell attacks, but also break down defensive shields. It could be said to be both offensive and defensive. Although this devouring divine ability was powerful, Huang Chong knew very well that it was useless against the master of the body refining pavilion. Why would a guy who could smash through the forbidden formation with his physical body need a protective spell? Therefore, what he was using now was not the devouring ability of the discerning devil saber, but a soul-attacking ability that the replica had never used before. Under normal circumstances, this technique could only be used with the demon fallen ring, as it required the assistance of the refined will. Huang Chong did not have the fallen devil ring, but he had already refined the fiend devil true intent, which was much more condensed and powerful than the ownerless true devil true intent in the true devil water. Since this person killed junior brother Shui, he must have some means to resist the true demonic will. I have to give up all of the baleful demonic true meaning in order to have a chance to severely injure his soul. Lu Kuan had long noticed the other party's movements. He had also sensed the terrifying aura of the divergent fiend's saber. Clearly, it was also a replica numinous treasure. Instead, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He had used his ultimate move and chased after him. At this moment, he only had 30% of his mana left. It was great that his opponent was willing to stop and fight. When Lu Kuan saw that Huang Chong was still in place, he activated the severing fist battle technique and raised his fist. As he flew, he accumulated power and absorbed the surrounding Yuan Qi of heaven and earth. The spirit Qi of the heavenly stream was mixed, but to a body cultivator, as long as their origin energy field was strong, any kind of Yuan Qi could be used. The surrounding demonic Yuan Qi and Yuan Qi of heaven and earth transformed into 2 halos, one black and one white. Under the transfer of his origin energy, the halos appeared above his fist. As he flew, the halos gradually became thicker. To Lu Kuan, a distance of 5 kilometers only took a few seconds. During this period of time, the halos on the divergent fiend saber had also condensed to the extreme. Huang Chong looked at the silver figure a few dozen feet away and stopped his hand seals. The divergent fiend's saber trembled slightly and disappeared. Then, as if it had teleported, it appeared in front of Lu Kuan. The extremely condensed Yuan Qi saber glow slammed into the black and white Yuan Qi fist. Boom! A terrifying might suddenly erupted, and the surrounding mixed spiritual energy turned into circles of air waves that rolled in all directions. The gray river water below was also squeezed into a semicircular puddle by the invisible pressure. Lu Kuan roared as all the muscles in his body swelled up. They were like small mountains embedded in various parts of his body. His body turned into a deformed monster covered in muscle lump. Through the transformation of his muscles, his physical strength exploded with a strength of 1/4,000,000 pounds. The air behind him was distorted into a blurry curve, as if the void itself was bearing the tremendous impact. Rays of Yuan Qi spiritual light intertwined and exploded, spreading from his fists to his body. The terrifying Yuan Qi power instantly ground away a small layer of muscle lumps, turning the surface of his deformed body into a bloody mess. As the greatest power exploded, Lu Kuan felt the demonic saber's power begin to weaken. His expression relaxed slightly. This offensive spirit treasure replica was somewhat different from Peng Yuanhua's dark green ruler. It attacked with a physical body and was more powerful. If he did not use Transcendence World, it would still be difficult for him to block it. But at that moment, a yellow saber shadow shot out from the divergent fiend saber. The source force field on the surface of his body did not seem to be of any defensive use, allowing it to pass through. Soul attack. Just as the thought appeared in Lu Kuan's mind, the saber shadow blasted into his head. However, his knowledge sea was empty. After a body cultivator entered the bone transformation stage, their soul and consciousness had been transferred from the knowledge sea to the spinal cord. However, this yellow saber shadow seemed to be able to recognize the aura of the soul. The saber blade turned and rushed towards the spinal cord. In this moment of delay, Lu Kuan had already reacted. He quickly used the ability of the hidden spirit root to hide his soul. The consciousness and soul aura in his body dissipated. Then, he reached out with both hands and grabbed the divergent fiend saber. The demonic chi in his body surged out. The domineering and violent energy rushed in, causing many of the demonic inscriptions to dim. The yellow saber shadow, which was looking around blankly, suddenly collapsed after losing the support of the divergent fiend saber. A murderous intent suddenly spread out from his body. This fiendish demon true intent seemed to have discovered something new, and all of it rushed towards his internal organs. Lu Kuan groaned as if he had been injured. His body staggered, and he spat out a silver mist of blood. Somewhere deep in his internal organs, a murderous intent surged out and fiercely intertwined with the fiend true intent. For a moment, a terrifying intent surged in his body. Huang Chong felt the two terrifying intents and looked surprised. So this guy has already refined the true demonic intent. No wonder he's so abnormal. The two intents are clashing. This is a good chance. Huang Chong looked at the other party's hands that were holding the divergent fiend saber tightly and felt the pressure of the source chi in the air. A black and yellow light condensed outside his body. He hesitated for a moment and felt that it was better to run for his life. At this moment, Lu Kuan suddenly let out a furious roar. The two intents that were originally fighting endlessly seemed to be forcibly suppressed by some kind of force. His bell-sized eyes suddenly opened, emitting a resplendent golden light. The skin near his eye sockets seemed to have been scorched by some kind of high temperature, turning fiery red, and a soul-chilling aura pervaded the air. In the next moment, two golden pillars of light shot out from Lu Kuan's eyes. They were intertwined with the aura of the true demonic intent and the fiend true intent. In the blink of an eye, they bombarded Huang Chong's light. The golden light seemed to ignore the defensive aura and sank into Huang Chong's head. The latter's frightened eyes instantly lost their luster. His soul aura was extinguished, and his body fell straight down. Chapter 1109. Lu Kuan looked at the fallen body of Huang Chong. Suppressing the discomfort in his internal organs and the overdraft of his divine sense, his figure flashed and a cloud of broken dragon dust sprayed out, wrapping up the corpse and putting it away. After doing all this, he waved his hand and a flying boat landed on the gray surface of the Skyfall Cascade. Then, he entered the flying boat and sat down cross-legged. He took out spirit stones and demon stones and began to restore the energy in his body. Traces of demon energy gradually fused together in his body. New blood was formed through his bone marrow. Rich and pure blood essence surged towards his internal organs, circulating the power of life and repairing his darkened organs. The lonely boat floated on the silent surface of the Skyfall Cascade for several days. Then, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes, a trace of fear flashing in them. I didn't think that the use of the power of single essence would have such a hidden danger. If it weren't for the appearance of that murderous intent, I fear I wouldn't have known that there was a true demon intent hidden deep within my internal organs. The yellow saber shadow that entered his body was clearly Huang Chong's divine soul attack. After this supernatural ability collapsed, the power of will was a murderous intent that he had never encountered before. It seemed to have some sort of connection with the true demon intent. It rushed straight to his internal organs, triggering the true demon intent. Under the collision of the two powers of will, Lu Kuan's internal organs were once again impacted. Even though he had entered the middle bone transformation realm and his mortal body was powerful, his internal organs were still much weaker than his other body parts. If he allowed these two powers of will to continue to intertwine, he didn't know to what extent his internal organs would be damaged. In this situation, he didn't dare to use the demon ape transformation. In a moment of desperation, he recalled the supernatural ability that he comprehended after fusing with the spiritual stone monkey's bloodline many years ago. Lu Kuan stimulated his blood essence. With the power of his bloodline and his late nascent soul spiritual sense, he forcefully controlled the two powers of will, turning them into a golden light that erupted outwards. Who knew that not only did it relieve the pressure on his internal organs, but it also easily eliminated Huang Chong. However, when he used this supernatural ability, he clearly sensed that there was still a portion of the murderous intent and true demon intent that continued to lurk in his internal organs. Over the past few days, he had been using his life force to nourish his internal organs while searching for them. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find where the two types of will were hiding. Strange, why are they all drilling into the internal organs? Could it be that the internal organs are suitable for this kind of will to be stored, or is there some other reason? Lu Kuan frowned. Now that I think about it, the backlash from the second Yuan force was a little different. Although a lot of life force was stored in my internal organs, the damage to my internal organs was much smaller than the first time. I could still continue fighting. Is it because of the remnants of the true demon will in the internal organs? With the internal organs with the power of will, it makes it easier to use the power of one yuan? He then carefully examined the condition of his internal organs and pondered, the internal injuries have barely stabilized, but they haven't completely healed yet. Previously, I consumed 30% of my life force, and my divine sense was greatly damaged. I'll need at least several months to recover. The fact that the true demon will and the fiendish will are able to conceal the internal organs shows that there is a special connection between the willpower and the internal organs. However, Lu Kuan showed a worried look. There are different kinds of will hidden in the internal organs. I'm afraid that it will have a certain impact on my future cultivation. The middle stage of bone transformation is through the cultivation of blood. It can be transformed into bones, but the cultivation of life force is closely related to the internal organs. I must find a way to get rid of these two kinds of will. Before I solve this problem, I can't use the power of one yuan again. Otherwise, it will only deepen the true demon will in my internal organs. The fiendish will drew out the true demon will from my internal organs, but in the end, it will also hide in my internal organs. I can't find another kind of willpower to seduce them. This will only make my internal organs more chaotic. Lu Kuan's eyes became dignified. Then the solution is to comprehend the power of will on my own and use this power of will to force it out. Thinking of this, he suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Wait, if I force out the different kinds of will, then the body cultivator can comprehend the power of will. Can it be combined with the internal organs? The core of immortal cultivators is the nascent soul, and the core of body cultivators is the physical body. Immortal cultivators combine the power of will with the nascent soul to form the power of the primordial spirit. Body cultivators don't have a nascent soul, but the power of will can be combined with the internal organs. Lu Kuan's thoughts suddenly became clear. Now that the world is undergoing fusion, even if traditional immortal cultivators comprehend the power of will on their own, there is no pure heaven and earth yuan qi to fill their bodies. They can only use the pseudo-divinity transformation method, and their divine abilities are limited by the yuan qi of the area. But the body cultivation method that I created is completely different. The Chu and Qi kingdoms have used the power of one yuan twice. This means that as long as the physical strength of the body reaches the level of 2 million jin, one can use the source force field to control the yuan qi of heaven and earth and use the yuan qi transformation divine ability. A body cultivator's control of yuan qi is not limited by the area, nor is it limited by the yuan qi attribute. The internal organs with will make it easier to use the power of 1 yuan qi. Then the key to breaking through from the late stage of bone transformation to divinity transformation is to comprehend the power of will and fuse it with the internal organs. Lu Kuan combined the several times he used the power of 1 yuan qi and the hidden dangers of the power of will in his internal organs. He had a bold speculation about the high level of body cultivation. He couldn't help but sort it out in his mind. The bone treasure stage uses the bones as the core. The hardest part of the body is cultivated to the extreme, and then through self-refining, every part of the body becomes the same cell origin. This not only generates the source of the body, but also the foundation of bone transformation stage cultivation. The early stage of bone transformation stage focuses on the muscles. Cultivate the muscles to the same level as the bone treasure, and assist in the cultivation of the blood and internal organs. The blood concentration increases and can be transformed into muscle fibers. The internal organs are slowly strengthened with the increase of the power of life. At the middle stage of bone transformation stage, the main focus is on the blood. Continue to increase the concentration of the blood until it reaches the level of bone cells. From there, it can be transformed into bones and added to the bone treasure. The internal organs are still tempered by the power of life. At the late stage of bone transformation stage, the bones, muscles, and blood are not only equal in quality, but the blood can also be used as a medium to add to the other two. Even without the help of the silver dragon meteorite, a body cultivator at this stage can rely on the support of the blood to display transcendence world. The first two stages of bone transformation stage use the bone treasure as the core. Through the foundation of the body's origin, the powerful bone treasure material is transferred to the muscles and blood. The body of the late stage of bone transformation stage, purely in terms of external strength, has already reached the extreme. With the combination of muscles, bones, and blood, the maximum strength can reach is 1,990,000 genes. Lu Kuan's thoughts paused as he pondered the role of the internal organs in the body. For mortals, the main cause of aging is the aging of the internal organs. No matter how strong a body cultivator's body is, they are still part of the human race. This principle applies to mortals. Then, does the breakthrough of the internal organs mean a change in the level of life? When a body cultivator reaches the late stage of bone transformation stage, not only can the internal organs store more power of life, but the strength of the material far surpasses the previous stage. Cultivation must not be separated from several elements, such as the power of life, the origin energy of heaven and earth, the power of will. The final transformation is likely to be the combination of the will and the internal organs, breaking through the limits of the body and controlling the power of 1 yuan. The more Lu Kuan thought about it, the more he felt that this direction was correct. He felt that he had found the direction of the spirit transformation stage. Suddenly, he felt refreshed, and his overdrawn divine sense was much more comfortable. As for how to comprehend the power of will and how to improve the internal organs at the late stage of bone transformation stage, that was not something he needed to study right now. Lu Kuan waved his hand and put away the spirit boat. He glanced at the north side of the heavenly stream and muttered, "The hidden dangers of my internal organs cannot be resolved in a short time. Once my injuries are healed, I will go to the great Zhou dynasty to find trouble with the supreme profound sect." Then he turned into a silver light and flew back to the state of Qi. Chapter 11:10. In a certain market in the western prefecture, 5 nascent soul cultivators were sitting in a pavilion. They had gathered together because of the sacred poison sect. Now that they were gathered together again, all of them had shocked expressions on their faces as they listened to the words of a plump old man. A young woman in red murmured, "Brother Yu, your news is too frightening. The Seven Fiends sect, a large demonic sect with tens of thousands of years of history, was destroyed in a day?" The plump old man smiled bitterly. That was the alliance of the three major sections: the Body Refining Pavilion, the Blood Refining Sect, and the Yin-Yang Sect. None of them were weaker than the Seven Fiends sect. They could easily crush them. A thin man beside him said, "Back then, it was the West Continent, North Continent, and East Continent that attacked the Blood Refining Sect. But it lasted for so many years." The plump old man said slowly, "The battle of the Seven Fiends sect this time is different. It is said that the master of the Body Refining Pavilion displayed terrifying strength comparable to a soul formation cultivator. He used his great ability to destroy all the forbidden formations and restrictions in the Essence Fiend Valley. If such a powerful cultivator participated in the war 100 years ago, it would have ended long ago." Everyone else gasped when they heard this. A single person was able to destroy the forbidden formations of a large demonic sect. That was too terrifying. The master of the Body Refining Pavilion is so powerful? Comparable to a soul formation cultivator. "This is," the plump old man said with a serious expression. "The cultivators of the two demonic sects saw it with their own eyes. It should be true. With Master Lu's strength, he could probably kill us early-stage nascent soul cultivators with a wave of his hand." The young woman in red said with some lingering fear, "Fortunately, the method we discussed last time was to befriend the Sacred Poison Sect. No, the Poison Refining Pavilion. Otherwise, if we angered the Body Refining Pavilion, we would be in trouble." When the fat old man heard this, he let out a sigh and said, "Because of our friendly behavior, not long ago, Du Daoist of the Poison Refining Pavilion contacted me and informed me of a piece of news in advance. For our sect and family, this is a great opportunity." Seeing that everyone was looking at him, the chubby old man said seriously, "Today, I've gathered all of you here for this matter. I believe that it won't be long before the three great sects announce it to the public. Although they have destroyed the Seven Fiends sect, they will not seize the resources of the northern state, nor will they invade the northern state. They will leave the northern state to the rogue cultivators, small sects, and families of the state of Qi. As for the Poison Refining Pavilion, it will occupy the entire western prefecture in the coming days. Together with the Blood Refining Sect and the Yin-Yang Sect, they will become the new major power in the state of Qi." The expressions of the others changed. This news was too important. It could be said that it was closely related to them. "Are you serious? Did fellow Taoist Du tell you? It shouldn't be wrong. Right now, the forces of the northern region are all fleeing. If we enter the northern region earlier, we might be able to occupy a better grotto heaven." The chubby old man continued, "Other than that, the three major sects will jointly establish a chamber of commerce in the northern region. As a neutral force, each sect will arrange for a nascent soul cultivator to oversee it. Furthermore, this chamber of commerce will also recruit guest elders." Chamber of Commerce? Neutral force. The people present were all old monsters who had lived for hundreds of years. After some simple thought, they understood that this Chamber of Commerce was equivalent to the eyes of the three major sections. While monitoring the forces of the northern state, they could also earn a large amount of demon stones. However, this was not a bad thing. In the past, the relationships between the forces of the Western Prefecture were complicated. Just like the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, if it had not been exposed many years ago, no one would have known that it was a force of the Blood Refining Sect. Among the 5 major sects and 3 clans, the Sacred Poison Sect belonged to the Body Refining Pavilion. The other major families also leaned towards the Seven Fiends Sect. On the surface, the Western Prefecture belonged to the rogue cultivators. However, in reality, the resources were still occupied by the major sections. According to the words of the fat old man, this neutral chamber of commerce was equivalent to the three great sects putting themselves out in the open and recruiting guests. This was clearly a friendly attitude. This meant that the environment of the northern state would be countless times better than that of the western state. The various small forces would have more abundant resources. Seeing the changes in everyone's expressions, the chubby old man smiled and said, "I suggest that the few of you join forces and strike first to gain the upper hand. We will first occupy an excellent demonic spirit vein." Hearing this, the thin man raised his eyebrows and said, "Brother Yu, do you mean that the Yu clan seems to have other plans?" The chubby old man nodded and said, "You should know that the Yu clan's cultivators are not good at fighting. However, they are quite proficient in running markets and gathering information. I have already communicated with fellow Taoist Du. I will join the Chamber of Commerce as a guest elder." The others were slightly stunned, but they were not too surprised. If they were in the old man's position, they would have done the same. However, their sects and clans were different. They relied on the resources they occupied to develop. The red-clothed young woman cupped her hands and said, "We will definitely join forces. However, we have no clue as to how to seize the territory of the northern state. I wonder if Brother Yu has any ideas." The chubby old man smiled and said, "I do have some ideas about this." Then, the crowd began to discuss. However, these people did not know that other than them, there were many other idle forces in the state of Qi who had also received the news. They were all eager to seize a better place to live in the brand new northern state. In the state of Wei, at the back of the Cloud Ridge Mountain, there was a special building. There were hundreds of houses densely built here. Each house was only a few dozen feet in size. A special array enveloped this place, and rich cold Yin energy was transmitted to each house. After Lu Kuan accepted Li Qianfeng as his disciple, he discovered that the speed of cultivating the Vajra esoteric art would increase by a lot after being cleansed by the cold Yin energy. Therefore, all the mortal warriors who had just joined the warriors' holy city would come here to soak in the cold Yin energy for a period of time. North of this building was a small valley with a radius of about 10 miles. The rich cold Yin energy came from the cave in the middle of the valley. Below the cave was a vast space of 1,000 feet. The ground and rock walls were covered with colorful rock. Some places even had coral-like vegetation. These were the spirit-swallowing worms that Lu Kuan had killed. After they died, their corpses were like rock. It was impossible to tell that they were insects with limbs at all. However, there was one spirit-swallowing worm that only had a round mouth full of sharp teeth left. The rest of its body had been eaten clean. 13 tiger-sized, muscular gray ants nested on the incomplete corpse. Their bodies emitted a unique aura that seemed to be a mixture of demonic power and cold Yin energy. This energy fluctuated around the 5th rank. Lu Kuan carefully observed these ferocious ants. With a strange expression, he said, "In other words, after these mutated flying ants absorbed your blood, they began to devour the worm corpses?" Sure, Einer hesitated for a moment before saying, "Einer thinks that this might be related to the netherworm sacred artifact that the pavilion master gave me." Lu Kuan was slightly taken aback. Netherworm sacred artifact? Sure, Einer's red lips parted and she spat out an octagonal crystal. She tilted her head and said, "Originally, this netherworm sacred artifact was in Einer's body. It didn't seem to have much effect on cultivation." She had a strange expression as she said, "However, the pavilion master gave me too much essence blood last time. After refining it, Einer's body felt full. It was like a mortal who had eaten too much." At this time, the netherworm sacred artifact suddenly moved. It emitted a special light that entered the corpse core. It immediately refined the pavilion master's essence blood. The energy it spat out seemed different from before. After this energy was absorbed by Einer's body, there was a special change. Einer's silver-armored corpse body used to be able to absorb spirit chi and convert it into cold Ein energy through the corpse core. Now it can even absorb demonic chi. Those mutated flying ants seemed to have sensed Einer's change. Their minds were filled with desire. Einer fed them the blood in Einer's body. As a result, these little fellows became even more excited and rushed towards the weakest spirit-swallowing worm. After devouring the worm corpses, they fell into a deep sleep. Chapter 11:11. Lu Kuan stretched out his hand and put the 8-sided white crystal into his palm. The two powerful nether bugs had gone through a lot of trouble to sneak into the Yuan's secret realm for this item. He had learned from the mother bug in the devouring devil swamp that the biggest function of this nether bug sacred relic was to convert energy. For those purebred nether bugs that still existed in this world, they could rely on it to absorb the spiritual chi of the immortal realm. Its function was similar to the true demon water to the demon clan. Moreover, this item had the function of isolating and purifying the true demon intent. He had not studied the purification function, but he had used it to isolate the true demon intent to help the treasure bone stage body cultivators cultivate the blood demon force. This kind of usage was a bit wasteful. Its real use should be on the nether bugs. Zombies were a species that combined the corpses of immortal cultivators with the Ein chi of the nether bug. Through the corpse core, they could convert the spiritual chi of heaven and earth into Ein chi to increase their cultivation. Lu Kuan gave the sacred relic to Sher Einer to increase the ratio of spiritual chi to Ein chi. He did not expect that the ratio would not increase, but it would coincidentally allow Sher Einer to absorb the demon chi. Sher Einer's phenomenon was probably unique in the immortal realm. Not to mention the nether bug sacred relic, no other immortal cultivator could feed the silver-armored corpse with essence blood like him. He pondered for a moment, then looked up and said, "Einer, give me some of your blood." Sher Einer nodded. Her red lips trembled slightly, and a ball of light silver blood floated out. Lu Kuan waved his hand and pulled it in front of him. Golden light flashed in his eyes as he carefully observed it. In addition to the corpse chi, this drop of blood also exuded a powerful chi and blood force. It was somewhat similar to his blood, but it had another unique aura of the nether bug sacred relic. Lu Kuan thought and said, "These mutated flying ants were hatched with my essence blood." Later, they swallowed a special kind of royal jelly in the Yuan secret realm. Their bodies are special, and they can absorb both Ein chi and demon force at the same time. I thought their cultivation speed would be much faster, but after so many years, their cultivation has been stuck at the peak of the 4th level. Now that I think about it, I'm afraid that my blood essence blood limited their nether bug bloodline. Your blood not only contains the aura of a holy object, but it has also been refined by a corpse core. It is very compatible with these little guys. The mutated flying ant absorbed your blood and broke through its bloodline limit. However, its body is still lacking, so it instinctively wants to break through by devouring its own kind. Lu Kuan glanced at the 13 sleeping mutated flying ants and then looked at the silver blood in his hand. Suddenly, a strange idea popped into his mind. Spiritual light flashed in front of him, and a jade vial appeared. There was a black liquid surging within the vial, and it was exuding a brutal aura. It was none other than the true demon water. Lu Kuan opened his mouth slightly, and a trace of silver essence blood fused with Sher Einer's blood. Then the blood was sent into the jade bottle. The netherworm sacred item had the effect of isolating true demonic intent, but when Lu Kuan used this characteristic, he only brought the sacred item close to the true demonic intent. The method of using it was extremely crude. Now that he had sensed the unique aura of a holy object in Sher Einer's blood, could it be possible to isolate the true demon will through her blood? If that was the case, then he might be able to use serene blood to solve the problem of the heterogeneous will in her organs. With this thought in mind, Lu Kuan carefully sensed the movements in the jade vial. It really has an isolating effect. He was delighted. After the blood entered the vial, the true demonic intent seemed to reject it and only surrounded it. Then, Lu Kuan used his own essence blood to control the blood of the silver-armored corpse. He turned it into a small blood net that enveloped a small mass of true demon water. The trace of true demonic intent inside was jumping left and right, as if it wanted to leave the blood net, but it didn't want to come into contact with it. Lu Kuan's eyes flashed with a golden light, and the silver blood was suddenly retracted. The blood net instantly turned into a silver crystal, and the trace of true demonic intent and the black liquid were forcibly sealed within it. As soon as all this was done, the trace of true demonic intent that was sealed trembled violently. A brutal will suddenly erupted, and the silver blood crystal was shattered by an invisible force. Lu Kuan was slightly stunned. He waved his hand and collected the remaining blood. There was less than half of it left, and the aura of the holy object had disappeared. He looked at the jade vial again and found that the true demonic intent inside had also been weakened by a trace. Lu Kuan was overjoyed. The silver-armored corpse's blood, which was mixed with the aura of the holy object, could actually isolate and weaken the true demonic intent. He put away the jade vial and the holy object and quickly said, give me 10 more portions of blood. Serene nodded. Other silver-armored corpses had thin blood, but she was different. Just from her supple and moist skin, one could tell that she had plenty of essence blood in her body. A moment later, she spat out a large mass of pale silver blood, which floated in front of Lu Kuan. He opened his mouth slightly and sucked it into his body. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began cultivating. Serene tilted her head, a curious look on her face. The pavilion master seemed to be using her blood to cultivate, but this blood was refined from the pavilion master's blood essence. How would it help his powerful body? Lu Kuan's expression was incomparably solemn. Serene's blood was transported through his body, passing through his small blood vessels and entering his internal organs. Serene's blood had the effect of isolating and weakening the true demonic intent. If he circulated her blood into his internal organs, he might be able to force out the strange will hidden within. As time passed, the silver-armored corpse's blood slowly circulated through his internal organs. The moment it entered his liver, 2 inaudible thoughts suddenly trembled and then disappeared, as if it was just an illusion. In the liver? Lu Kuan was overjoyed. He focused the blood flowing through this organ, but after circulating it several times, those thoughts no longer responded. Where did they go? This mass of blood. His expression changed. At this time, he discovered that after circulating the silver-armored corpse's blood several times, the aura of the nether insect's sacred relic had mostly dissipated. Could it be that my blood is too powerful and has invisibly obliterated the strange aura in the silver-armored corpse's blood? Lu Kuan circulated the blood again and found that it was as he thought. After a while, the strange aura would be obliterated by the power of blood essence. This was something he couldn't control. Without using his blood essence to transport it, the silver-armored corpse's blood simply couldn't enter his internal organs. He slowly stood up and thought for a moment. You should be on the verge of a breakthrough, right? Serene was stunned. Yes, Pavilion Master, but the silver-armored corpse's breakthrough requires swallowing the power of a nascent soul. Before she finished speaking, 2 small nascent souls appeared in Lu Kuan's hands, each of them exuding boundless nascent soul power. Serene's red lips parted slightly. If she wasn't wrong, these 2 nascent souls were at the level of a great cultivator. Lu Kuan slowly said, your aptitude is amazing. Now that your physique has undergone a new change, you can absorb spiritual energy and demonic energy at the same time. These two nascent souls of great cultivators cultivate magic energy and demonic energy respectively. With their help, you should be able to smoothly break through. Seeing Serene happily accept the two nascent souls, Lu Kuan said, immediately start breaking through. After breaking through, there is a hidden danger in my body that I need your help with. Serene's expression was serious. Yes, Pavilion Master. Lu Kuan hesitated. The octagonal crystal of the nether insect sacred relic appeared in front of him again. At the same time, he spat out a mass of silver blood essence. Your physique is different from ordinary silver-armored corpses. Take these two things as well. They might be useful. After successfully breaking through, come to the demon abyss to find me. After saying that, his figure flashed and turned into a silver light, leaving the underground cavern. Serene looked at the four things in front of her and couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. No matter which of these things were leaked out, the other silver-armored corpses would fight over them. She was a grade 8 silver-armored corpse. Using these to help her break through was simply too extravagant. Chapter 11-12. Lu Kuan quickly returned to the cave residence in the demon abyss. Originally, he went to Serene to give her the nascent soul of the Tao-E spiritual master, who knew that he would encounter the changes in the netherworm sacred artifact. Because of its rich blood essence and corpse core, it not only transformed Serene's body, but also gave him a way to solve the hidden injuries in her internal organs. Unfortunately, Serene's blood essence was too weak and could not stay in his body for a long time. He could only try again after she broke through to the 9th-level silver-armored corpse. Lu Kuan passed through the broken dragon stone passage and came to the underground cave residence. He lifted his shirt, revealing 8 or 9 storage bracelets hanging from his belt. With a wave of his hand, all kinds of shining items covered most of the ground. Recently, he had been fighting continuously. Although his internal organs were injured due to the use of the Yuan force, his gains were amazing. Lu Kuan looked at the few treasures in front of him. The fallen demon ring, the dark green ruler, and Huang Chang's demonic blade were all magic treasures that imitated spiritual treasures. Their control of the heaven and earth Yuan Qi was far beyond that of ordinary great cultivators. He sighed. It's a pity that the demonic energy of a body cultivator can't activate these 3 imitations. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment. The dark azure ruler was a treasure made of Tai bluestone, and it could activate the void spirit sword Qi with astonishing offensive power. It was most suitable for Yu Longfei to use. Soon, he would be rushing to the great Zhou dynasty. If this late nascent soul stage sword cultivator had the dark green ruler, he could severely injure or even kill ordinary great cultivators. With such strength, Yu Longfei overseeing the body refining pavilion, he was more at ease. After putting away the 3 imitations, Lu Kuan waved his hand and a small 3-legged cauldron floated in front of him. This cauldron was refined by the Tao-E sect after many years. Even though it wasn't a replica of a divine spirit treasure, its defensive ability was still extremely close to that of a replica of a divine spirit treasure. As such, it could be considered as a formidable artifact. Lu Kuan stroked the lid of the cauldron. The ethereal cauldron itself was of no use to him. However, the remaining ethereal intent within it was of great reference value to him in comprehending the power of will. The ethereal cauldron turned into a beam of light and disappeared into the storage space in his rib cage. Lu Kuan looked at the 5-foot-long giant axe on the ground with a serious expression. Its surface was wrapped in a layer of gray dragon snapping stone. The power of the void surged, and Lu Kuan grasped the massive weapon in his hand. The heaven hammer was completely destroyed, but this demon tool is not only intact, but there's also a strange tool soul inside. I'm afraid it's one of the finest demon tools. He shook it lightly, and the dragon-breaking stone powder floated in the air. His fingers gently stroked the demon patterns on it. He didn't know if it had been damaged by demon energy or for some other reason, but the demon tool, which used to be full of spirituality, had now become lifeless. Lu Kuan narrowed his eyes and carefully probed it with his divine sense. After a while, a strange expression appeared on his face. Just like the heaven hammer, there was no consciousness inside. The true power of this demon tool is definitely not weaker than that of a real divine spirit treasure. Lu Kuan recalled that when he was undergoing the tribulation, he had relied on the heaven hammer to offset a lot of the power of the tribulation. With his current knowledge, he understood that it was the essence transformation divine sense. According to the experience of the tribulation, the body of the devil-ape transformation can activate the demon tool, but after using it, the internal patterns will probably be damaged. Immortal cultivators can refine divine spirit treasures, and the demon tool of the devil race also has the power of essence transformation. Why can't a body cultivator's battle treasure become a treasure of this level? The most powerful thing about divine spirit treasures and replica spirit treasures is that they can control the essence chi of heaven and earth with the help of magic treasures. This demon tool has to be preserved well for future research. Battle treasures are refined with reference to the body of a body cultivator. I am now at the middle stage of bone transformation, and the power of 1 yuan is still far away. I'm afraid it will be difficult to research a divine spirit treasure, but I can try the level of replica spirit treasures. I have a lot of replica spirit treasures, but the refining method of this kind of top treasure is not available in the Yang clan. It seems that I can only find a way to collect it when I go to the Great Zhou dynasty. With the refining method, I can study the upgrading of battle treasures. The idea flashed through Lu Kuan's mind. He looked at the giant axe with a headache. If this top demon tool could only be studied and not used, it would be too wasteful. Maybe there are other ways. After the devil-ape transformation, in addition to the demon ability, there is only the power of the bloodline and the true demon will. Lu Kuan hesitated. He took out the jade bottle containing the water of the true demon and swallowed it. The incomparably pure blood essence in his body surged out, and the two collided in his chest in a unique way. As the terrifying power of the bloodline surged out, Lu Kuan frowned. His body trembled slightly, and a special energy rushed to his right arm that held the giant axe. His arm quickly swelled, and the hair on the surface stood up, turning into black hair. The palm lines on his palm also thickened, turning into the arm of the devil ape. After using the devil ape transformation many times, in addition to the enhancement of his body's cultivation, Lu Kuan was able to suppress the supernatural power changes and transfer the power of the bloodline to his arm. However, because the power of the bloodline was transferred, the power of the body did not change. The phenomenon on his arm was only affected by the power of the bloodline. Clang, a crisp metallic sound emerged from the giant axe, and the strange soul will that had disappeared before appeared again, as if it was cheering. Lu Kuan's bloodline energy, which was mixed with the will of the true devil, was quickly absorbed. The purple gold axe released an astonishing aura, and the nearby dense devil chi suddenly became incomparably excited, circling around. However, after the purple gold demonic axe absorbed a part of the bloodline energy, it only released its momentum without any further action. Not to mention the Yuan Qi manifestation, it didn't even attract the demon Yuan Qi. On the other hand, the soul will kept jumping, wanting to enter Lu Kuan's body, but it was afraid of something. Suddenly, Lu Kuan's expression changed. A light flashed in front of him, and a jade bottle appeared. The lid of the bottle was opened, and the phantom of a white bear rushed out. It was the soul of the 8th-grade demon bear that he had once killed. Wrapped in the power of the void, the demon's soul was pulled over. As soon as it approached the purple-gold demonic axe, a suction force came from inside and sucked the demon's soul in. In the next moment, Lu Kuan's face lit up with joy. The power of the bloodline surged, and a large amount of demon yuan qi gathered in the purple-gold demonic axe. A bright purple-gold yuan qi blade appeared outside the demonic axe. However, Lu Kuan's hand shook, and the bloodline power returned to his body. However, the demonic axe's light became even more dazzling. After the soul will absorbed the demon's soul, it became extremely excited, as if it wanted to erupt with its power. Lu Kuan coldly snorted, and a violent surge of demon energy landed on the handle, as if it would rush in the next moment. The soul will was startled and immediately calmed down. The demonic axe's aura also calmed down. You'd better be obedient. Otherwise, Lu can destroy you in a moment. It was unknown whether or not it understood Lu Kuan's words, but the soul will hid itself again. Unlike before, Lu Kuan's divine sense could sense its existence. Lu Kuan waved his hand, and the dragon-breaking stone powder surged out, wrapping the purple-gold demonic axe again. After using the demonic ape transformation, the power of the bloodline is that of a pure long-armed demon ape. It's probably similar to the demon race's bloodline. Combined with the soul will, it has reached the basic level of activating the demonic weapon. This demonic weapon has an artifact spirit, and it can draw demon yuan qi on its own. However, it requires a powerful soul sacrifice. The reason it could possess the demonic corpse for such a long time should be because of Xue Tianyu and Peng Yuanhua's soul strength. Although the artifact spirit is strange, at least I've found a way to use it. I still have some demon souls above grade 8. If I encounter a spirit-severing cultivator, with this divine spiritual treasure demonic weapon, I can at least resist. Lu Kuan breathed a sigh of relief. The price of full elemental power was too great, and he couldn't use it casually. If he went to the great Zhou dynasty like this, he wouldn't have enough confidence. Now that he could use this demonic weapon, he had less to worry about. He put away the purple-gold demonic axe and looked at the remaining items on the ground. The 4 great cultivators had an astonishing collection. In addition to these few top treasures, there were also large amounts of precious materials, demon stones, high-grade spirit stones, and ordinary magic treasures. They were all things that the body-refining pavilion needed. With the expansion of the sect's territory, all kinds of forbidden formations, cultivation areas, and 5 elements restrictions required large amounts of materials and spirit stones to support them. It could be said that the body-refining pavilion had replenished a wave of blood. As for the remaining pills, they were useless to body cultivators. There were also the jade slips that recorded cultivation methods and secret arts that weren't worth studying. Lu Kuan used a few storage bracelets to put away these useless things. He planned to give them to Huang Xiaoyun to be disposed of through the newly established Chamber of Commerce. Following a flash of spiritual light, only 2 gray corpses were left on the ground. They were the 2 demon corpses from the Demon Island. He had been busy fighting and didn't have time to carefully examine them. Lu Kuan's void power surged and the Dragonbreaker stone powder separated. He came to the demon corpse that only had half of its body left and looked inside through the wound on its waist. There was a layer of purple light flashing inside, giving the impression that it had died not long ago. With this kind of foreign body, my spiritual sense can only see the surface. He opened his mouth, and a ball of silver blood flew out, turning into a silver blood mist and surging into the wound. Then he closed his eyes and carefully sensed. Chapter 11:13. The Ancestor of Body Cultivators is asking for leave again. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 11:14. Qi Kingdom's West Province, Demon Dragon Mountain. Pan Yen and Du An were floating above a mountain. Rather than calling it a mountain, it was more accurate to call it a sinkhole in the mountain. This place was filled with the remnant power of the restriction, and the flat ground exuded a layer of deep yellow spirit light. Not long ago, with the help of the Star Moon Pavilion's Array Master, they broke most of the restrictions in the True Demon Pool. Suddenly, there was a chain reaction everywhere in the Demon Dragon Mountain. Many mountains collapsed, revealing many hidden restrictions. Pan Yen carefully sensed with his divine sense and slowly descended. When his feet stepped on the ground, he suddenly felt his body sink. The gravity had increased several times. This strength was nothing to a bone transformation realm body cultivator. Instead, he looked happy and said, "The gravity has increased. This should be one of the sources of the Xian Huang Qi. Duan, let's go down together." Duan hesitated and said, "Senior apprentice Brother Pan, the thicker the Xian Huang Qi, the greater the gravity. According to the judgment of the Star Moon Pavilion disciples, the gravity in the depths of the Demon Dragon Mountain is probably more than 1,000 times. With my body," Pan Yen gestured with his hand and said, "with your small body, as long as you lie on my back, you will be in the range of the source force field. 1,000 times gravity is only 100,000 pounds. The source force field can easily resist it. Besides, without the help of your nascent soul, I can't use the advanced Earth Escape Talisman. The rocks here have been contaminated by the Xian Huang Qi. The degree of toughness is no less than the broken dragon stone. Only the Earth Escape technique can pass through. If Master is here, he can break through. But with my strength, I'm afraid I can't dig more than 100 feet. Duan looked at Pan Yan's body, at the 2 feet radius of the distorted force field. He hesitated for a moment before nodding. He knew that after a body cultivator entered the bone transformation stage, they could only use some foundation establishment level spells, not to mention high-level spells. Therefore, he flew onto Pan Yan's thick back. The 2-foot-wide source force field wrapped around his body. Then, an advanced talisman appeared in his hand. The power of the nascent soul surged, and a rich earth attribute aura wrapped around the two of them. A yellow light flashed and they disappeared. The black and yellow qi was extremely rare in the immortal cultivation world. It could only be produced in special earth veins. For those who practiced earth attribute cultivation methods, the black and yellow qi was an extremely precious treasure. However, they would only collect some in the periphery. It was very difficult for them to go deeper. The thicker the special spiritual qi, the stronger the gravity. Only a few legendary Earth Dao divine abilities could resist this kind of gravity. Pan Yen and Duan went down not to collect the black and yellow qi, but to find the source of the strange poison in the true devil pool. After a period of research, Duan found that the value of this poison was extremely high. If he refined it into his 100 poison force, it could even increase his poison cultivation. Moreover, it had a special property of reconciling and dissolving other poisons. With the augmentation of the poison-tempering pavilion's saint poisons, it was possible to forge an even more potent poison. However, the forging method required a large number of materials. Although the saint poisons were powerful, their lethality was at the early nascent soul stage. It was already quite difficult for them to face the rich magic power of a mid-nascent soul stage cultivator, let alone a great cultivator. Not long ago, several saint poisons were able to kill the nascent soul stage cultivators of the 3 demonic Dao clans. The main reason was that they cooperated with the great 5 elements force field, which produced a terrifying lethality. If he could obtain a large amount of this special poison, or if he knew its source, not only would it greatly improve Duan's Dao of poison refinement. If he refined a terrifying poison that could threaten a great cultivator, coupled with the great 5 elements force field, even a late nascent soul stage cultivator would be doomed. Layers of dark yellow rocks flashed around the two. The black and yellow qi was an extreme earth attribute qi. Pan Yan's physique was very sensitive to it and constantly adjusted the direction. As the two went deeper, the gravity attached to their bodies became stronger and stronger. With the protection of the origin force field, Duan didn't feel the slightest discomfort. The color of the nearby rocks has changed. The qi on them, is it that kind of poison? Pan Yin saw that the nearby rocks had turned gray and couldn't help but ask. Duan's eyes flashed with excitement. That's right, the rocks here have been contaminated by the poison. It can be seen that the source of the poison is the source of the black and yellow qi. Pan Yin was just about to say something when his expression suddenly became joyful. There seems to be a cave up ahead. After speeding up for a moment, the two's eyes lit up. They landed in a cave that was dozens of feet wide, and an even heavier pressure surged over. The gravity here was almost twice as strong as outside. It was more than 1,000 times stronger than their own gravity. Ordinary grand completion bone treasure body cultivators wouldn't be able to withstand it for too long. What kind of material is this large-scale formation made of? It can actually resist the gravitational field of the black and yellow qi. The poison is so strong. Wait, it's coming from this formation. The most eye-catching thing in the cave was a triangular formation. It looked very different from a normal formation. The rune lines on it were strange and didn't seem to be the means of immortal cultivators. The material that made up the formation was also unusual. The stone-gray surface was lined with fine edges and corners. It looked like the scales of some kind of creature. The qi that it exuded was familiar to Pan Yin. Waves of light gray poisonous miasma slowly emerged from the center of the triangular formation. Little Du, can you see anything? Is this some kind of poison refining formation that uses the black and yellow qi to refine poison? Duan spread out his spiritual sense and carefully observed the formation. His expression gradually became strange. Although I have never seen this pattern and material, the qi that it exudes has nothing to do with refining poison. It's like a teleportation formation. Pan Yin was slightly stunned. His spiritual sense also spread out and scanned a few times. He felt a trace of obscure spatial fluctuation. You mean, the poison is transmitted from another place? Duan hesitated and said, It should be so. However, I'm not proficient in formations. It's best to let the disciples of the Star Moon Pavilion come and study it. Pan Yin nodded and looked around. Other than the poisonous gas, there's also black and yellow qi gathered here. The ground outside the triangular formation was some kind of dark yellow rock. After gathering black and yellow qi for a long time, it had become a special earth-type material. However, it contained poison. Even if ordinary immortal cultivators obtained it, it would be useless. On the wall behind, there was a layer of dark yellow spiritual light. It seemed similar to the one in the Devil's Pool cave. The black and yellow qi is born from a special earth vein. The wall here has been modified. It's very likely related to the terrain of the demonic dragon mountain. Senior Pan, I think it's better to ask the pavilion master to come here personally. Pan Yin pondered and said, Let's wait until we finish investigating the other places where the black and yellow qi is rich. We'll report to Master. Only Master's source force field can bring more disciples of the Star Moon Pavilion here. Let's go. We'll continue to investigate. After saying that, Pan Yin took Duan behind him and flew to the top of the rock with the help of the high-grade earth escape technique. They disappeared. Chapter 11:15. A few days later, in the depths of the demonic dragon mountain, a dozen or so core formation stage cultivators formed a formation. They circled around a moderately sized mountain range. Streams of special suction force were sucking in the Xian Wang qi emitted from the mountain range. Under the effect of the formation, these earth attribute treasures were sucked into the eyes of the formation and into the brass cauldron inside. Pan Yin and Duan floated in the air. Behind them were two nascent soul stage cultivators. One of them was Chen Mingzhu, the head of the Star Moon Pavilion, and the other was his junior brother, Ma Yang, who was also proficient in formations. The few of them were looking at a cave with a diameter of 10 feet in the middle of the mountain. Endless rumbling sounds could be heard from within, causing the ground and the nearby mountains to tremble. More and more Xian Huangqi surged out from within. Pan Yin turned to look at the two from the Star Moon Pavilion and clasped his fists. This time, I have to trouble Pavilion Master Chen and fellow Ma to come personally. Chen Mingzhu came back to his senses and replied with a smile, "Fellow Pan is too polite. This kind of ancient formation from the Yiyuan school is very interesting to me and my junior brother." Speaking of this, he paused and said, "But that triangular formation seems to be different from the formations of cultivators. It is very mysterious. Unable to resist the temptation, we came directly." Pan Yin asked curiously, "Is that a teleportation formation?" Chen Mingzhu stroked his beard and said, "According to your description, it does have a spatial effect. As for whether it has a teleportation function, I can't confirm it." At this moment, the rumbling sound stopped. An even thicker Xian Huangqi surged out. The faces of the surrounding core formation stage cultivators changed slightly. They raised their mana and the surrounding formation surged with an even stronger suction force, continuing to collect these unique earth attribute treasures. A burly figure, following the Xian Huangqi, jumped out of the hole. It was Lu Kuan. He shook his body and said, "Other than the triangular formation, you should have studied the engraved images of the other restrictions." Chen Mingzhu bowed respectfully. "Yes, Pavilion Master. The restrictions in the cavern below are one with the true Devil Pool. The 9 underground caverns that fellow Taoist Pan found are the core nodes of the demonic Dragon Mountain. Under the effect of the earth veins and restrictions, the Xian Huangqi produced here can be continuously sent into the true demon pool. With the help of these special earth attribute treasures, the true demon water can be consumed." Chen Mingzhu's tone of voice was full of reverence. Under their alliance with the Scorching Sun sect and Falling Cloud Valley, they had taken over the Dao Yi sect. They controlled half of the Chu country of Chu, and the resources of the sect had greatly increased. If not for the support of this body refining Pavilion Master behind the scenes, Starmoon Pavilion would not be able to do this at all. Lu Kuan nodded gently. Looking at the gradually thinning qi at the entrance of the cave, he said, "It's almost gone. Let's go down." As he spoke, he waved his hand. Chen Mingzhu and Ma Yang felt an invisible force field enveloping their bodies. There was an invisible force surging inside, but this force did not press inward. Instead, it circulated outside their bodies, twisting the air and forming a vague shield. Pan Yin looked enviously at Lu Kuan's method, turning the power of the void into a force field shield. This kind of exquisite method could only be used by someone with his master's cultivation and aptitude. After he entered this realm, he checked with Huang Xiaoyun from time to time. He found that the range of the passive force field, in addition to affecting the use of combat skills, was also related to the consumption of the power of the void. Simply put, the larger the range of the force field, the less demonic energy consumed by the power of the void. Lu Kuan had a 9-star physique, and was in the middle stage of bone transformation realm. The range of the force field was 4 feet, more than twice that of Pan Yin. The power of the void within 10 feet could not only be used as a regular method, but could also be used to use all kinds of exquisite combat skills. Pan Yin secretly simulated the force field shield. He shook his head and carried Duan on his back. He followed behind Lu Kuan and the others and flew to the cave entrance. The call had been completely penetrated, leading straight to the cave at the bottom. A lot of the Xian Huangqi had leaked out. The gravity inside was greatly reduced. With the protection of the force field shield, Chen Mingzhu and the others could easily enter the cave. Not long after, everyone arrived at a cave that was neither big nor small. Chen Mingzhu and Ma Yang could clearly feel that the force field shield outside their body was slightly deformed. It was obviously under a lot of pressure. The gray poisonous fog emitted from the triangular array in the middle was bent in other directions when it approached the force field shield. Seeing such a defense, they relaxed. They came to the side of the array and studied this strange array while communicating with each other and pondering over its mysteries. At this time, a light flashed in Du-An's hand and a small dark green bottle appeared. A series of seals surged and the poisonous fog from the triangular array gathered towards the small bottle. After the large amount of Xian Huang Qi was dispersed, the gravity was greatly reduced. Only then could he collect the poisonous fog. Lu Kuan looked at everyone's actions and didn't say anything. Instead, he stretched out his hand and a ball of Xian Huang Qi was absorbed into it. He sensed this special aura and narrowed his eyes. Little Yen, do you think this Xian Huang Qi can be used to temper the body? Pan Yen frowned. When disciple came here, I also had this idea. But after careful study, I found that although this thing looks similar to spirit energy, it is actually a natural treasure. Body cultivators can absorb the pure earth-type spirit energy in the Xian Huang Qi, but this spirit energy doesn't have the unique gravity attribute. Disciple thinks that we can think of a way to integrate the Xian Huang Qi into the bone treasure. This material with the characteristics of a gravitational field, if it enters the bone, it might stack with the origin force field and produce an even more terrifying power. Lu Kuan pondered for a moment and said, if we use the gravitational field, the risk is not small. Body cultivators' bodies are very strong, but if the gravitational field of the Xian Huang Qi affects the internal organs, it will cause great harm to the body. He pondered for a moment and said, I think we can use the Xian Huang Qi as a reference to refine magic treasures. These magic treasures use this material in order to increase their weight. The magic treasure of Falling Cloud Valley's Han Feng uses the Xian Huang Qi. When it is activated, its weight increases greatly. Combined with the Earth Tao Theurgy, its power is not weak. In other words, we can integrate the Xian Huang Qi into the bone treasure and form a special gravitational pattern. After activation, it can increase the weight of the bone greatly. This is the same principle as the Silver Dragon meteorite iron. However, after activation, the size of the Xian Huang bone does not change, but the additional gravitational force increases. Pan Yin murmured, I understand. Disciple's physical strength is only around 500,000 jin. Although I can borrow strength from the void and fully exert it, if my weight suddenly increases to 10,000 jin in battle, the impact of the physical body will be even more terrifying. Lu Kuan smiled and said, the Xian Huang Qi is a top-grade material of the earth attribute. Only you are suitable to integrate it. Study it together with the treasure pavilion. If you can integrate the Xian Huang Qi into the bone treasure, you will no longer be lacking in attack power. Pan Yin clenched his fists, his expression was very excited. Lu Kuan thought of something and said, if you can successfully integrate it, it means that a body cultivator who has completed the bone treasure can also refine it. In this way, the bone treasure that contains the gravitational attribute will not be easily swallowed by the qi and blood when breaking through to the bone transformation stage. Little Yen, collect all the Xian Huang Qi of the Demon Dragon Mountain. Next, focus on the method of integrating it into the bone treasure. Yes, Master. At this moment, the triangular formation in the middle of the cave suddenly changed. It emitted bursts of light, and a thicker gray poisonous fog surged out. Chapter 11:16. Lu Kuan's figure flickered and appeared next to the triangular array, pulling Chen Mingzhu and Duan behind him as he stared ahead with a serious expression. Above the triangular array, an even thicker poisonous fog appeared and the space around it fluctuated. This was a sign that something was about to be teleported over. A creature with such toxicity was definitely not a simple character. Unexpectedly, after a few breaths, the light above the array was extinguished and a cloud of poisonous fog appeared. Huh? What is this? Lu Kuan stretched out his hand and void energy surged as an object the size of a watermelon slowly floated out. It was a huge, dark gray poison sac shaped like a heart. There were fine black steel spikes on it, and the outer layer was similar to leather. It trembled as if it had a life of its own. Every time it beat, the small mouth of the poison sac would spit out a cloud of gray poison mist. With the appearance of the poison sac, an extremely cold Yin energy appeared in the cave at the same time. Yin energy! Lu Kuan withdrew his source force field and grabbed the poison sac in his hand. A cold aura mixed with a strong toxicity tried to penetrate his palm, but the layer of skin was as firm as a transcendent artifact and could not be penetrated at all. He frowned and said, "Could this be the poison sac of some kind of underworld insect race creature? Not only is the Yin energy aura incomparably pure, but it is also much denser than sure Yin Ers. Underworld insect poison sac?" When Duan heard Lu Kuan's words, he was surprised and then excited. That grayish poisonous fog is continuously produced by the poison sac? Even if it is a top-tier poisonous insect, the poison sac's toxicity is limited after death. It is impossible for it to continuously produce poison. How did it do it? Lu Kuan ignored the excited Duan and turned to ask, "Pavilion Master Chen, did you accidentally activate the array just now?" Chen Mingzhu pointed to a node in the array and said, "When Junior Brother and I were studying it, we discovered that there was a point of conflict between void energy and void energy, so we used a few techniques to test the array, but, Kacha, at this moment, everyone clearly heard a crisp sound. Looking in the direction of the sound, they saw that a crack had appeared on the triangular formation where Chen Mingzhu's finger was pointing. A faint white light flashed and the array in front of them completely shattered. What happened? Could this be a one-time teleportation power? Pavilion Master Chen, did you see anything? Chen Mingzhu was slightly taken aback and said with a wry smile, "Pavilion Master, the array patterns on it are completely different from the Immortal Cultivator's system, and even more different from the Devil Dao's patterns. Junior Brother and I have no clue." He paused and said, "But from the aura of the teleportation just now, this might be a formation unique to the Nether Bug tribe." Lu Kuan frowned. "The Nether insect race?" Chen Mingzhu said, "Formation patterns aside, its material is also like a type of insect shell. It's incomparably sturdy and can withstand strong gravity." When Lu Kuan heard this, he could not help but fall into deep thought. Before the ancient cultivators defeated the demon race, they had already gotten rid of the nether insect race. From the looks of it, there are probably still many high-level nether insects left in this world. The nether insect race wants to stop the purification of the true devil pool. Pan Yin asked curiously, "Why would the nether insect race set up this formation? Wouldn't it be better to just put the poison sac here?" Lu Kuan looked at the poison sac in his hand and said slowly, "The poison sac can't create poison fog out of thin air. From what I know, it's very likely that it needs to absorb a large amount of Yin energy. From the looks of it, the other end of the formation is very likely the Abyss of Death." "Abyss of Death?" Lu Kuan said in a low voice. "The Abyss of Death is surrounded by an ancient seal. It's the only place nearby with dense Yin energy. There are still many nether insects above grade 8 left in there. There are still 8 places left. We'll go through them one by one. First, we'll destroy the formation of the Abyss of Death. Then, we'll move all the resources that can be used in the demonic dragon mountain back to the body refining pavilion." "Yes, Pavilion Master. Kingdom of Cheese, Southern Region, Abyss of Death." At the bottom of the abyss, there was a gray nest with countless intersecting tunnels. A large number of strange flying ants were flying back and forth inside. The buzzing of their wings was dense and terrifying. In the deepest part of the nest, there was an oval cave that was hundreds of feet wide. Inside there were two giant insects, one big and one small. They occupied the entire space. The small one was a fat ant that was close to 10 feet long. Its body was covered with a layer of armor-like scales. The energy on its body was extremely dense. The pressure it emitted was no less than that of a late nascent soul stage cultivator. In front of it was a colorful insect that was hundreds of feet long. Only half of its body was exposed. The latter half was embedded in a wall. On its forehead was a pair of coral-like antennae. At the bottom of the antennae was a pair of flashing small eyes. The antennae of the fat ant trembled. A terrifying divine thought surged out. Spirit Devourer, I've already merged with the remnant consciousness of Lord Hydralisk. Even without the holy item, I have a chance to become an insect king. I won't go with you to the great whirlpool. The colorful insect was the mother insect of the Spirit Devourer insect. It had quietly come to the death abyss. Its clear voice was heard. Nether Ant, this is the hinterland of the immortal cultivators. Even if you can break through, you'll cause a great commotion. If a powerful immortal cultivator comes in, all your efforts will be in vain. The Nether Ant's divine thought was somewhat contemptuous. I've already controlled most of the restrictive power of the Death Abyss. Even if several great immortal cultivators join forces to attack, my children will be able to hold on for a long time. The Spirit Devourer insect was silent for a moment. Nether Ant, you're wrong. Now, there are groups of immortal cultivators who cultivate their physical bodies. Their sect is not far from you. The fat ant's divine thought was stagnant. It suddenly thought of the guy it met in the Eon's secret realm hundreds of years ago. It said slowly, "You've met such a immortal cultivator?" The Spirit Devourer insect's divine thought surged out. It directly transmitted the image of its tribe being slaughtered by Lu Kuan on the sea. The fat ant's body shook slightly. It muttered, "I've met immortal cultivators who cultivate their physical bodies. Could it be a backup plan left behind by the Eon sect?" Then it said, "But Spirit Devourer, there's only one powerful sect nearby. You said that this immortal cultivator sect is not far from me?" The Spirit Devourer insect's divine thought surged. "It seems that you haven't devoured immortal cultivators for a long time. You don't know about the outside world." As it spoke, its antennae trembled. A few memories were transmitted. They were the memories it had searched the souls of the immortal cultivators nearby. The fat ant silently accepted the information. It recalled the deafening roar many years ago. Its divine thought trembled. The body refining pavilion actually occupies the entire Wei nation. No wonder the aura I sensed before was in the Death Abyss. It turns out that the person is in the Wei nation. The Spirit Devourer insect's divine thought asked curiously, "What aura, Wei nation?" The fat ant said slowly, "Spirit Devourer, the sacred relic you're looking for is in the hands of the body refining pavilion." The Spirit Devourer insect's huge head nodded slightly. "I know. This nascent soul realm body cultivator used the aura of the sacred relic to lure me. Our Spirit Devourer insect colony can't do anything to a body cultivator. That person's physical body is as strong as the insect king. Think about it, Nether Ant. If you attract the attention of the body refining pavilion, just 2 or 3 of them will be enough to completely break through the Death Abyss." The Nether Ant's divine thought was full of complex emotions. Damn it. If they had completely invaded this world back then, even if there were immortal cultivators with strong physical bodies, the Spirit Devourer insect said, "I'm afraid we're the only high-level nether insects left in this world. We have to be careful. If we go to the Great Whirlpool, not only will there be rich energy, there are also various restrictions protecting it. It's the best place for us to break through the Insect King level. The Outer Sea Dragon King is already dead. The soul formation cultivators in this area have also fallen. As long as we stay away from these body-refining fellows, with our strength, we don't have to fear other immortal cultivators at all. Now that the body refining pavilion has expanded to the west prefecture of the Qi nation, if the south prefecture falls into their hands in the future, it's only a matter of time before they clean up the death abyss. The nether ant hesitated. Spirit Devourer, let me think about it. At this moment, the ground under their feet suddenly trembled. Rays of spiritual light appeared on the surrounding walls. The restrictions of the entire death abyss flickered slightly. Chapter 11:17. What's going on? The nether ant's immense divine sense surged in all directions, following the changes in the restriction, and quickly found the source. Its antennae swayed, and it was shocked. The poison sac left by Lord Hydralisk is gone. That thing has already fused with the restriction power here. How could it disappear? In a cave on a cliff in the abyss, there were remnants of gray poisonous fog and dark yellow aura. A strange formation was carved on the ground, and in the middle was a small circular groove that was empty. A moment later, the remaining aura in the cave was absorbed by the restriction around it. The restriction of the death abyss shook for a while, and then stopped. The spiritual light dimmed a little, as if some change had occurred. The Spirit Devourer Queen asked, "Nether Ant, what happened?" The fat ant's antennae trembled, and it muttered, "Someone destroyed Lord Hydralisk's formation." Formation? Isn't the restriction here left behind by the ancient cultivators? What does it have to do with Hydralisk? The nether ant's jaws opened and closed. Originally, the restriction of the death abyss was not under the control of us nether insects. Later, with the help of a demon, Lord Hydralisk attracted the Qi of Xianwang from a secret place in the Qi kingdom. Together with its own poison, it infiltrated the restriction of the abyss. This allowed the nether insect bloodline to control the restriction here to a certain extent and resist the invasion of cultivators from the outside world. At this point, the nether ant's divine sense fluctuated. Wait, Lord Hydralisk attracted the Qi of Xianwang at 9 locations. Now that one has been destroyed, the other locations, as if confirming its thoughts, the restriction of the abyss, which had been quiet, began to shake again. Under its sensing, the poison sac at another node of the formation disappeared. Someone has sneaked into the source of the Qi of Xianwang. According to Lord Hydralisk's remnant memories, that place has nearly 1,000 times the gravity. It's impossible for cultivators to sneak into that place. Could it be? The Spirit Devourer Queen reacted at the same time. A hint of undetectable joy flashed in the depths of its small eyes. It must be someone from the body refining pavilion. Only those with abnormal bodies can ignore this gravity. Nether Ant, since the body refining pavilion has discovered the Hydralisk's layout, you might have noticed the death's abyss. Follow me to the great maelstrom. As long as we work together to break a few barriers in the huge whirlpool, we will be able to bathe in the light of the holy item, and our chances of breaking through to the insect king level will be greatly increased. The antennae of the nether ant wriggled, seeming to have sunk into hesitation. The spirit-devouring mother bug continued, "We are the only high-level nether bugs left in this realm. Only by entering the Bug King realm will we have a chance to contact our race." When the nether ant heard this, he no longer hesitated. "All right, I'll go with you." Its thick divine sense spread to the surroundings. All kinds of nether insects of different shapes and auras gathered at the nest after receiving some kind of order. Wei Nation, Cloud Ridge Mountain Range, a valley where Een energy gathered. Sure Eener sat cross-legged in the cave. 3 powerful auras emerged from her body. It was demonic power, magic power, and a dense Een power. Within her dantian, there was a silver zombie core. 2 tiny nascent souls surrounded her. 2 different types of nascent soul power slowly floated out of the tiny nascent souls and flowed into the zombie core. Zombies were the product of a cultivator's physical body and the Een power. After entering the silver-armored corpse realm, Its meridians and dantian were close to that of a cultivator and could adapt to the powerful Yin power. For a silver-armored corpse to break through, it had to devour a mid-stage nascent soul. The nascent soul power would be transformed by the zombie core into a higher level of Yin power to stimulate the breakthrough of cultivation. Moreover, it would also produce energy that nourished the physical body. While nourishing the meridians and dantian, it would form a layer of protection. This way, when the Yin power broke through, it would not damage the meridians and dantian. Therefore, in the outside world, silver-armored corpses would think of ways to kill nascent soul cultivators and devour their nascent souls. Other than improving their cultivation, it would also improve their meridians and dantian, increasing their cultivation efficiency. However, Serene was a little different. After being transformed by Lu Kuan's blood essence, her meridians and dantian were no different from that of a normal nascent soul cultivator. She could completely withstand the eruption of the 9th-level Yin power. Although she needed the stimulation of 2 types of nascent soul power because of her dual attributes, her physical aptitude was excellent. As long as she willed it, she could rely on a small amount of nascent soul power to easily break through. The 2 nascent souls have only absorbed a small portion. If I break through directly, the remaining nascent souls will dissipate. This is too wasteful. Feeling the remaining majority of nascent souls in her dantian, Serene had a distressed expression. Although she knew that Lu Kuan was strong, the nascent soul of a great cultivator was not so easy to catch. She couldn't easily waste it. The Pavilion Master's blood essence energy focused on transforming the silver-armored corpse's body, making it closer to that of a human. The nascent soul power is more suitable for improving the dantian and meridians. Various thoughts flashed through Serene's mind. She suppressed the abundant Yin power in her corpse core and continued to absorb the energy of the 2 nascent souls, doing her best to transform it into energy that could nourish her meridians and dantian. But as time passed, her face gradually twitched. The energy of the 2 great cultivators' nascent souls was far too great. It was extremely difficult to transform it. Moreover, as the corpse core was being transformed, it would produce an excess of high-level Yin power, causing its aura to become increasingly great and compress the corpse core. If she didn't make a breakthrough, the corpse core would likely explode from the terrifying energy of the 2 nascent souls. That's right, the nether insect sacred relic. As Serene was feeling the strain, she suddenly thought of something. A light flashed in her hand, and she swallowed an octahedral crystal. It floated above the corpse core. But after a while, she discovered that there was no response from this sacred relic. The last time the corpse core was difficult to revolve, the nether insect sacred relic released energy to help refine it. Why is there no movement now? Could it be? Her expression changed. A mass of silver blood essence appeared in front of her and was sucked in by her watery gray lips. The corpse core, which was already struggling, trembled even more violently after this mass of blood essence was added in. A terrifying Yin power surged within it, as if it would explode at any moment. At this moment, the nether insect sacred relic seemed to sense something and shot out a translucent beam of light. The corpse core seemed to have eaten some kind of great tonic. Its refining speed sharply increased and the Yin power stabilized. The 2 remnant nascent souls and the mass of blood essence around her began to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, they were all sucked into the corpse core. In the next moment, an even more turbulent Yin power aura mixed with several strange energies erupted from her dantian. As these energies spread out, Serene's body, which didn't have much of a sense of touch before, felt a heart-wrenching pain that she had never experienced before. Her body couldn't help but twitch. Outside her watery gray skin, a silver light appeared. Her clothes were washed away by this silver light and turned to dust. Thick corpse chi gushed out from every part of his body, forming into keratinous scales that covered his entire body. They were densely packed together, as if he was wearing a snakeskin scale armor. Her head was also covered. Her hair split to the sides, forming a pair of short horns on either side of her ears. Her teeth instantly became extremely sharp. Serene lay on the ground in pain. Her fingertips clasped on the ground turned into knife-like claws that easily pierced through solid rock. Small bone spurs emerged from the joints of her limbs. This layer of silver scale armor covered her body, and it accentuated her exquisite figure. The boundless corpse chi, coupled with the extremely dense yin energy, emitted a ferocious and evil aura. Chapter 11:18. A few days later, Lu Kuan returned to the body refining pavilion from the demonic dragon mountain. The 9 array nodes there had all been opened. What was strange was that, other than the first 2, the other 7 formations were all useless. Lu Kuan did not care about this. Just the 2 poison sacs that he obtained were enough for Duan to study for a long time. Apart from that, the biggest gain from the demonic dragon mountain was the rich qi of heaven and earth. If Pan Yen could integrate it into his bone treasure, it would be a great discovery for the Yuan earth body refining art. As for the strange arrays in the demonic dragon mountain, although Lu Kuan felt that it was related to the abyss of death, he didn't have the heart to investigate it. After all, it was still the territory of the blood refining sect. If there were any problems with the high-level demonic insects, the blood refining sect would be the first to discover it. He was once the blood devil, so he naturally knew that this demonic sect had set up many detection methods near the abyss of death. In the cave of the devil abyss, 2 silhouettes were crossing each other at high speed. Inside the cave there were several afterimages. Waves of formless air billowed in all directions, bombarding the walls and continuously making rumbling sounds. After a while, the 2 figures stopped. Besides Lu Kuan, the other was a slender figure wrapped in light silver scales. It was Serene, who had just broken through. As a silver-gray spirit light flashed, the scales on her skin gradually turned into a strong corpse aura, which flowed into her body, revealing her curvaceous body. A black robe appeared out of thin air, covering her body. Lu Kuan looked at his arm. There was a small opening on his skin, and a cloud of light gray corpse chi was forced out. He looked surprised and said, "I didn't expect you to have such strength after breaking through." The defensive power of this layer of corpse chi armor is astonishing. It is equivalent to a powerful defensive magic weapon. The fingertips and bone spurs are also incomparably sharp. Under the infusion of the cold power, not only does it have an extremely strong penetrative power, it also contains corpse poison. More importantly, this armor has condensed all the corpse energy in your body, increasing the vitality of your flesh and blood, and the flexibility of your joint. If you get close to me, even a cultivator at the peak of the nascent soul stage won't be able to withstand your continuous attack. Serene was very excited. Although Lu Kuan didn't use his full strength, she was still able to break his flesh in a direct confrontation. This was already beyond her imagination. Lu Kuan's expression was also rather excited. With the addition of this level 9 silver-armored corpse, the strength of the body refinement pavilion had increased by a lot. In addition to the 2 disciples, there were now 3 powerhouses below the level of Great Cultivator. He pondered and said, "Since you've broken through, let's try the method from before to heal me." Serene nodded. Her blood essence surged, and an apple-sized ball of light silver blood essence slowly floated out. Lu Kuan stretched out his palm. After sensing it for a moment, he revealed a satisfied expression. After Serene broke through, not only did the density of her blood increase, but the aura of the nether insect sacred relic also became stronger. He opened his mouth and swallowed the blood into his abdomen. Then, he sat down cross-legged. His blood wrapped around the blood and transported it through his capillaries to his liver. Lu Kuan wanted to use the aura of the nether insect's sacred relic in Serene blood to force out the foreign consciousness hidden in her organs. The last time he tried, because the density of her blood was too weak, it didn't take long for his powerful blood essence to disperse most of it. Moreover, he also wasted a lot of time on the other organs. This time, he went straight to the place where the foreign consciousness appeared, the liver. In addition to his blood, Lu Kuan also mobilized his body and spiritual sense. He first used his own blood to wrap around Serene's blood essence, hiding its aura. After entering the liver, he wasn't in a hurry to release it. Instead, he spread the blood throughout the organs. Last time, I was startled and was hidden by the two consciousnesses. I wonder if I can force them out this time. As this thought flashed through his mind, Lu Kuan released the binding of the blood essence. The aura of the nether insect's sacred relic in Serene's blood instantly filled the liver. The two consciousnesses seemed to be frightened and suddenly revealed themselves. Found it! The silver-armored corpse's blood immediately wrapped around the foreign consciousness. The two consciousnesses seemed to be afraid of this aura and wandered around the organs, full of spirituality. Lu Kuan's face sank. Continue to provide the blood essence. He opened his mouth and Serene's blood essence, which carried the aura of the nether insect's sacred relic, poured into his mouth. Under his control, the entire liver was wrapped in blood. This wasn't the first time Lu Kuan had been infected by the true demon will. Back then, when he was soaking in the devil pool in the Death Sea Devil Cave and used the devil ape transformation, a brutal consciousness had invaded his body. However, at that time, the consciousness had been circulating in his blood. In the end, he had used the blood crystallization technique to seal the brutal consciousness. But now, the foreign consciousness was different. It was stored in the depths of the organs in a new way. His blood could only cover a part of the organs and couldn't block it. So difficult to deal with. With a thought, Lu Kuan's entire liver began to collapse inwards, gradually softening and turning into a mass of flesh and blood essence. The extremely rich silver-armored corpse's blood wrapped around it. After using the viscera condensation technique, Lu Kuan's blood essence could permeate the whole organ, but Serene's blood essence couldn't. Instead, it was rejected. After a full hour, Lu Kuan slowly opened his eyes, revealing a somewhat heavy expression. The silver-armored corpse's blood couldn't permeate the essence of the organs, so there was no way to force the foreign consciousness out. And his blood essence was in the essence of the organs, so he couldn't use the blood crystallization technique. Otherwise, it would be sealed along with the cells of the organs. The foreign consciousness is so difficult to deal with. The organs are like its home ground. I'm afraid that the aura of the holy relic must be integrated into the essence of the organs to force the foreign consciousness out. But how can I get Serene's blood essence to enter the essence of the organs? After entering the middle stage of bone transformation, the concentration of blood has greatly increased. The organs are relatively weaker than the blood. It's a bit difficult to squeeze my own blood essence in. But the life force is an energy that can freely circulate in the depths of the organs. Lu Kuan couldn't help but ponder. The life force is in the same place as the foreign consciousness, but it can't find the consciousness, nor can it force it out. That's right, the cultivation of the life force requires the consumption of blood essence. Serene's blood is of the same origin as mine, so I can use the life force to absorb the blood essence and draw the aura of the holy relic into the depths of the organs. Lu Kuan's expression brightened and he closed his eyes again. The life force in his body flowed along his spine and into his organs. Under the effect of the blood crystallization technique, his liver turned into a wriggling mass of flesh and blood essence that hung in his blood vessels. Give me some more blood essence. The silver-armored corpse's blood essence that had just entered his body once again flowed into his liver. With the life force as a guide, I can absorb the aura of the holy relic. As long as I can force the foreign consciousness out of the organs, the blood essence outside will be able to crystallize and seal it in one go. Next, he began to circulate the cultivation method of the life force. Chapter 11:19. Requesting leave for the Ancestor of Body Cultivators. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 11:20. The Ancestor of Body Cultivators will be updated tomorrow. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.